This episode of An Unexpected Podcast is brought to you by Sarah Larson. Thank you.
Hello, friends, and welcome to An Unexpected Podcast. I'm Ez.
And I'm Lane.
And we're talking Tolkien.
We're coming to you from the Shire of America, the beautiful state of Ohio, in a little village called Amanda.
That's right. This week we'll be covering the Great River as a part of our journey through Middle Earth.
Old Man River keeps on going.
There we go.
I don't even know. Is that the song?
I've never heard it.
Yeah, I don't
So my friend, I think we this episode we want to start with our table of contents because we've got some
starting that tradition of letting you know what's in the episode ahead. So we've got another special correspondent coming up later in Dropping Eaves.
Yep.
Kind of a follow-up report there, and also our upcoming schedule, which we're going to talk a little bit. Well, might as well do it now, right?
I was going to say, what is the upcoming schedule?
So here's the thing, guys. We don't know. No, just kidding. It's amazing. We're kind of stuck in this this journey, this adventure, and wow, you pop your head out to look out the edge of the boat like Sam, cautiously every once in a while, and you realize we're almost to the end of a book here.
Wow.
So we're very close.
Well said.
To finishing book 2 and finishing coming to the conclusion of the Fellowship of the Ring. Just a heads up there. We have this week and we have next week the Breaking of the Fellowship, aptly named, and then we're done with this book. We'll be moving on to Two Towers. So we kind of talked about this a little bit before.
Yeah.
This is sort of the format we came up with. So, or the schedule, I guess. We got this week, obviously.
Yep.
Next week, we'll be doing the Breaking of the Fellowship.
Yep.
That following week, we're going to do a book review, kind of a whole book in general, just going through, major takeaways, characters we related to, we enjoyed, story arcs that we thought were really compelling, and then even kind of tying it into, in general, the next 2 books, where that will lead us.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
yep.
More a broader picture. And then the following week after that, we'll do a film to book comparison, where we'll go through and we'll talk about things that were changed, things we liked, things we would have liked to have seen from the books portrayed in the film, things like that. And then we're going to take a week off that following week before we get into the Two Towers. As my brother Ezra said it, dust off the old book. You got a week head start to get dug into the beginning of the Two Towers, and we'll pick it right back up and get right into the once a week the second book.
And so I think we'll also put something on the group where you guys can kind of as we get amped for Two Towers, you can send us some comments if you've read ahead. And for a lot of you, this is a reread. For some of you, this is an initial read,
first read.
And so it'd be nice for you to kind of get ahead a little bit and things. So we'll just take that 1 week off to kind of because I think we ourselves too, I like to anyways, kind of read way ahead and kind of get the scope, the lay of the land, so to speak.
Yeah.
And
Ezra's compass. It's always spinning.
Yeah.
Is that a good thing?
Is it? I don't
Straight
know.
as an arrow.
Yeah.
Not sure.
I know. What date will that be though? Is that
you know what?
Isn't that like September? What did you say? Yeah, where's my phone?
I was thinking about saying the dates. You know what? We'll put them up on. It'd be cool if we put them on Facebook. How about that?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah,
we'll put them on Facebook, and that way you can see those dates. So,
yeah,
that way I'm not fumbling through my phone right
now. Yeah, don't mess
cool?
it up. Okay.
So already have. Let's get into some quick counsel.
Yes, sir. All right.
How are you?
You know what?
You're back to school, my friend. Back to school.
Yeah, it's been
back to school.
It's been something. It's actually been okay. I'm kind of excited for this year. It's been real positive vibe and things at my school. So nice to see the kids again and what have you. So it's been good. I wanted to mention, and I kind of want to lead us into some discussion here in quick counsel. Mm-hmm. I earlier was standing in the kitchen and I heard a story, the likes of which I've never heard before. It was honestly, Lane, it was like a touching, this moment where I had this
I saw your face. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like we were talking to Goldberry, and I don't remember how we got into the conversation.
Gabbing with Goldberry.
With Goldberry.
Yeah.
Which we'll talk about later.
That'll come back later.
And really, we were talking about your proposal, how your first hello.
You kind of got behind the scenes of how old Tom stumbled upon the River Daughter, just kind of
yeah,
and was taken taken captive by her love.
It
essentially,
it needs to be written down in a book. Gosh, dang
and I've told Sarah, who is Goldberry, I've said, like, she's always said that. She said, I love our love story. I was like, I do too.
Yeah.
She was like, I'd love to find a way to write it, to share it. I said, sweetheart, do that. Find a way.
Right.
So that's been something I've encouraged her to do, and I don't know how she's going to, but that's funny you say that, because that's been on her mind for a long time.
I tell you what, we're gonna because it was something that I think it was something.
See, and you might just think that because you know us.
No. It was epic. So, anyways, it was a good moment that we had sort of before the podcast. What's funny is we're starting at like 11:30 at night.
You've been here since 4.
I've been here since 4. Yeah. It's fantastic. We've been talking for that long.
That's what it's all about.
So the conversation has gone long, my friend, and it's great. It's great. So other things though, in quick counsel, we had a chance to go. Was that last week?
Last Sunday.
Last Sunday. Wow, yeah. We were out watching the extended edition Fellowship of the Ring at the Marcus Theater in Pickerington, Ohio.
It was awesome. Yeah, our buddy Rocco was able to get us tickets. It was really great. He arranged the whole thing. Rock, thanks for doing that, man. He's an amazing dude.
Yeah.
Also, our buddy Ryan was there, and Rocco's friend Adam, who we got to meet for the first time.
Yeah.
And he actually, I want to share this with the whole upper community. He made a verbal commitment to come play rugby.
He did
with us.
I heard him.
As did Mike Charles,
right,
who I'm about to talk about.
Yeah.
As did Ezra. So, guys, this is a binding contract. It's in the book club. It must happen. So
I don't remember me making that commitment.
I think you like pricked some blood and like smeared it on my hand too. It was like a blood bond. So anyway,
okay,
you're bound.
Good to know.
And also got to see Mike Charles. I hadn't seen him for 8 years.
Yeah,
it had been way too long. My old friend Boromir himself, and actually got to see his mom Donna, who I hadn't seen. Like maybe 10 years.
Yeah,
I mean, it was a long time since I saw her.
Yeah.
It's amazing how you can. That was the cool thing. That was a major takeaway from watching those movies. I had to get a picture of all of us together.
Right.
I know people hate that. It's like, what am I, like a 12-year-old boy? Yeah, I am.
Yeah, well.
And it was just these stories are amazing because it's all about bringing people together.
For sure.
You think about the Fellowship, how it was a bunch of very different individuals who probably wouldn't be together under any other circumstances.
Yeah.
And you think about, us as a community, and it's a bunch of people who, under any other circumstances, might not get to know each other as well as we
have interacted and stuff, and paths crossed in life and stuff like that. Yeah.
Brings us together.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing.
Absolutely right.
Beautiful thing.
So
we had a lot of fun. It was cool. I hadn't seen them on the big screen for a long time.
I've never seen the extended editions on the big screen.
Okay, and I had seen it once. It was right before The Hobbit came out. They did a trilogy or a matinee or a marathon of all of them together. And what was it like? I mean, what was your reaction to see them on the? It's different when you watch it in a movie theater.
The sounds, that just that whole atmosphere is pretty neat. Experiencing it with other people too is something, because typically it's just me putting it on, while I'm screwing around at the house or whatnot, or going to sleep. I fall asleep to it and stuff like that. So, and some of the later scenes I hadn't seen, because you always start off with like, I want to watch the whole extended edition of Fellowship, and you're like, okay, got through about halfway and
tired.
Got into something else or whatever, and so to sit there the whole time, I didn't leave. No bathroom break for me, man.
Yeah, I took about 3.
The old Papa over here was gone for about 3 or 4 times.
I think I have a bladder disorder. I must. I don't know, man. It's tiny, overactive. I don't know what's going on, but
just kidding.
I did have to risk it. See, and for me, I was interested too. It was weird. You don't realize when you're watching it at home, it's almost like your eyes, they fixate on certain things that are your favorite.
Yeah.
Or your eyes always track. I wonder if there are probably studies to prove this. When you're at home, you're watching a movie you've seen 100 times, you track to the same areas of the screen.
Yeah.
So we were on that bigger screen, and I was like, I told you on the way home, I'm like, I never noticed Legolas holding Pippin's hand outside of Moria when after Gandalf had fallen.
Right.
A moment that was touching that I'd never noticed.
Right.
Another one. This was huge. The Ringwraith's black horse. Never noticed that the nails for the shoe were coming out of the hoof, like it had been crudely nailed in.
Yeah,
and it was bleeding. Like I'd never noticed that before.
Right.
Little things that I just fixated on other areas.
Right.
It's crazy.
The one that I noticed was Legolas helping Gimli into the boat.
The boat.
Almost like as if it was more sort of like it was Orlando helping, like an older actor into. It wasn't really. It didn't even feel like those two. It felt like it was like they were prepping for. It was just weird.
It was, but it fit in perfectly with that chapter, which
Yes,
we had just
did,
read.
because
was
they
like,
had just become really good.
Form.
It was amazing.
Yeah. Really cool. That was awesome.
Yeah, it was a fun time. So, okay, a couple other things here in quick counsel. Special thank you to Shelby Bradley.
Yeah.
I think Shelby. I almost said, you know who you are. Obviously, you know who you are. Yep, there we go. No, thank you for the email. She sent me a really nice email about my dream and stuff, and some things that are said on the appendices. And let's just say it gets real on the appendices. So
Yes, it does. It really does.
It really does. And so we appreciate you reaching out to me, Shelby, and just want to give you a big thank you. So, all right. And one more thing, Erica Barnes, our party that's coming up. Our little celebration for Bilbo.
Yes.
Yeah, she's gonna make us a sweet potato pie.
Can't wait. And she's staying at the Dunford too.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
Yeah, I know.
This is gonna be a real Hobbit party, man.
I know, it's great. Actually, I'm really excited. So there's that. So
if you want to come, it's still not too late, guys. September 22nd. If you're close enough and you want to make the journey, you will be welcomed.
You will be. Absolutely.
Be welcomed. Even if I have to pitch a tent in the backyard, and if you don't have any other accommodations, you're more than welcome.
Yeah.
Sleep in we don't have a lot of rooms here.
I think I got a spare tent too.
See?
We'll get a couple sheets
Camp
out there.
That's right, man.
That's right. So,
sleep on the kitchen floor, whatever we have to do.
Yeah.
Be a real Hobbit party.
All
right. Time to drop some eaves.
It is. Yep.
So it's good that quick counsel wasn't so quick tonight, because there's not a lot of eaves to drop. Our ears are right at the window listening to Gandalf's every word. He's just speaking sign language. So the Amazon TV series, nothing new. Nothing going on.
Right.
After that announcement, the writers, it's been kind of crickets.
It's been quiet.
So the Tolkien biopic as well, nothing going there either. So I don't know. Oh, it sounds like, okay. Well, we do have something, in fact. That sound, you know what that means. That's Chase McKinney, who's going to be reporting from the field. I don't know what this is about, Ez.
Okay.
So we'll tune in here and we'll see what Chase has to bring us.
Yeah.
Previously, it was reported about speculation concerning an expansion for Universal Studios. It turns out there may be more developing. Now Comcast, NBC Universal's parent company, has all but confirmed the new development themselves in a recent question and answer session, and revealed that the title of the new park could be Fantastic Worlds. The Orlando Sentinel reports that at a recent Q&A, the company was asked about their patent application for quote-unquote Fantastic Worlds, which was earmarked for what they're calling entertainment services in the nature of amusement park and theme park services. An analyst from Bank of America Merrill Lynch directly asked if the filing for that patent was an indication that the company was planning a fourth park, and Comcast executives responded this way, quote, "We're looking at it. We love the theme park business. It's one of our best, most consistent businesses. We think we have a lot of very long runway. Another park in Florida would have the advantage of turning Florida from a 2 or 3 day destination to potentially a week-long destination. We think that would be attractive." End quote. Fantastic Worlds is kind of perfect as the name of a new Universal branded theme park. It's vague enough to be appropriate for tons of different possibilities. Other possibilities, as previously reported, include potential lands based on Jurassic World, Lord of the Rings, the Ministry of Magic, which would be building out their Wizarding World of Harry Potter, branding even more, or even the sci-fi world of Star Trek. Again, that Fantastic Worlds title is so generic that it could technically include any or all of these properties and not feel out of place. For EAVE News, I'm Chase McKinney. Back to you, Esin Lane.
Wow.
Yeah, that's some exciting stuff.
I actually had not heard that report. That's news. This is all.
Well, he's on location
he
right
is.
now.
I know, this is great.
So it makes sense.
Live,
he's breaking some news there.
Wow.
Thank you for that, Chase. Very interesting. Sort of some fleshing out, some good news for Floridor.
Yeah,
really.
I guess so. Yeah,
turning it from a couple day destination to a week long.
I'll go stay a week there.
I would too. I'd
Absolutely.
brave the Orcses. I'd get down there.
It gets hot down there, man.
Yeah, it does. Not just hot, but humid.
I mean, I'm more of a fall guy, you know.
I know you.
So I might have to go in the winter. You know,
Then it would
down
feel like
there.
spring down there. That's a pretty good idea.
Yeah, it might only be 80.
I love that idea. I love that they're kind of they're looking at it. Would you just look at it? Just look at it, and thinking about making that. I like that. Just keeping it vague enough that they could put anything in there, including a Lord of the Rings themed area. That would just be cool. And like we said before last week, they work with Weta. They could make it involve the artists from the films. That would be something more affordable than going to New Zealand, but still giving the authenticity of Middle Earth. I think that'd be awesome. We'd be all for it. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks again, Chase. Appreciate
yes,
that.
Thank you. In the field of, hopefully you don't get sunburned down there, my brother. Take care of yourself, okay?
Yeah.
Okay, we've got some other corners of Middle Earth here. We've got an update from the Billy Boyd World Tour
Yeah. So I think last week we were worried that the package wouldn't find its way home, and thankfully I don't know what that was, foresight or something. Because let me tell you, I actually think I was just worried about the space I had in my mailbox for the condo unit, and so I sent it back to like my dad's place, which happens to be where I'm going to be bunking up for a while. And here I'm just kind of staying on the weekends at Lane's.
man.
Like, sorry, just crashing.
Please help us.
Thanks, Goldberry.
Just kidding.
She's the only one who.
Yeah,
she had to approve that. But anyways, no, it's been kind of unexpected, and so. Yeah, Scott sent it back to me, and there were some goodies in there, man.
That was really nice.
I couldn't believe
Scott,
this.
Come on, too much.
I mean, I'm not going to say he stole the menu from Eagle and Child, but like, I don't know.
He may have slipped it away.
He may have slipped it away.
He may have pulled a lobelia.
Maybe I shouldn't have said that, but it's fantastic.
I think they're probably.
No, I think he probably just mentioned like, hey, this is because it's a paper thing or whatever, you know. But it was actually really cool to think that other people there had touched that and just I don't know.
It was really cool.
Like
and then a magnet and some pins too. I mean, a couple bookmarks. Scott, that's so kind. Thank you so much.
Yeah. We'll post a picture of it in the group perhaps here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we've thought about doing, we may release an address. Well, let's just do it right now. P.O. Box 96, Amanda, Ohio, 43102. You can address it to Goldberry and Lane, Tom and Goldberry, Lane and Ezra,
Sticklebats,
Lane and Ezra, Len Ezra, whoever you want to address it to. If you want to send something to us, it doesn't have to be not a gift. We're not asking for gifts. We're saying like if you have art that you've done that you want to share with us. If you want to write us a letter, maybe the Facebook thing is not for you. Maybe you'd rather do something more personal, send a letter, something like that.
Hey, true. That's a good point.
Yeah.
People who maybe aren't into social media and Facebook, some people just don't want to be on it and stuff.
And
so
I understand why. So I mean,
if you want to send your story on handwritten,
yes.
I mean, my gosh, we'll hold it up here and get that nice sound of the paper moving and
some calligraphy you want to send. I mean, whatever you want to do. So that's out there because that was really nice. We appreciate that.
Yeah.
Long expected party is like we said, it's marching ahead. It's going to be on Saturday, September 22nd, right here in the little Shire of America, Amanda, and right in the backyard here. We're going to have some really cool. We're having the potato contest. We're going to be having my mom and dad are preparing a special dish for it, some second breakfast.
Really?
I'm really excited about. We'll have afternoon tea. We'll have luncheon. We'll have afternoon tea, dinner, and supper.
Yeah.
We're going to have a surprise. I'm just going to say it. We're going to have Bill Joe Baggins.
Wow.
Bill Joe Baggins will be attending
You just
a
said
long-expected party. I know. I was going to keep it secret, but there will.
You definitely didn't
he
keep
will
it
be
safe.
there. I didn't keep it safe.
No.
And he's going to be there.
Okay.
So you'll be able to sit down and listen to stories told from Bill Joe himself.
That's awesome.
Exciting.
Yeah, he can have a taste of my potato jello that I'm making for the.
Maybe even smoke some
thing.
Toby. You never know.
That'd be great. So
it's going to be a fun day. A lot of cool things planned. The T-shirts are very close to being done and being ready to send out to patrons.
Yep.
Thank you for your patience on that. We are getting them right. We want them to be perfect for you.
Yeah.
So
yeah, we definitely do.
We do. You guys deserve it.
The first batch was not. So
they were fine.
Okay.
Poll results. We have some poll results.
Yeah.
3 polls this week, in case you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we found our fellowship in great debate at the beginning of last week's chapter. Had the gift of boats and the option of the river not been available, would you have headed west towards Friends or the Minas Tirith Gondor region? or taking your chances east. This is split right down the middle, man. Just kind of deciding on, there was that debate. Do we go to the West Bank?
Yeah.
East Bank?
Which way do we go?
How do we attack our next phase of this quest? 49% said going west towards Gondor. 51% said I'm going east.
This
going
is
right into the heart of it.
Really split and
Split down the
I
middle.
actually was surprised.
I love when they're like that.
Me too.
I love it.
Because the way you worded this is like I felt more comfortable staying with my friends.
Yeah.
And you know what I'm saying? So I think I picked west.
So there's pros and cons to both.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the idea. It is kind of a hard, and that's why it's not so clear to Aragorn. He doesn't know. What should he do? What's the best path? It's kind of a tricky decision.
Yeah.
So we have another bonus poll concerning Galadriel's mirror. Ezra wanted to put this one out there, and I thought it was a great idea. Hadn't thought of it until he brought it up. Would you look? 71% said yes, absolutely, I'm taking a peek. 29% said not a chance, don't tempt me.
Wow.
So most of us would look into our future. We want to see things that were, things that are,
tempt me, Fred.
and some things that have not yet come to pass.
Right. Yeah.
So I thought that was really interesting. That was cool. And then we had a double bonus poll talking about Rocco.
Oh yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So I did record a video of all of us at the theater and
Whoops.
Facebook Live, and I didn't publish it, and it got lost. Unfortunately, you would have seen Rocco in the flesh, but I said, I was having the conversation with him. I'm like, dude, you're such a Numenorian, man. Such a like little ranger. And he was like, really? I've always wanted to be an elf. I was like,
Wow.
I was like, Rocco,
That's
kind of,
shocking.
man, but I'm not seeing it, bud. So I wanted to put this out there, and you guys agreed with
Came through.
us.
Yeah.
So he was kind of disappointed that only 21% of you said he's definitely an elf. 79% overwhelmingly said, yeah, he's a Numenorian. That dark hair, the kingly face.
Yeah, I mean,
so
yeah. You are what you are.
that's
Rocco,
right. You cannot run away from
who you are, So there's that.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think we've done really well on time this far.
No rambling.
That we've gotten right
Have
to
we
the
been
point.
rambling? That's good. I almost feel like we've been too efficient.
Yeah, what happened?
I don't know if I like that.
I don't know if I
Let's
like
just
it.
re-record the whole thing.
Yeah,
let's
let's
get
just shut
more
it
off
down.
track.
Yeah.
Butterbur mode.
Good grief.
That is, we were very focused, Ezra. I don't
I
know.
know probably the 6 cups of coffee we had to.
Maybe
get
it was
us
because we
through all
talked
this.
for about 10 hours before.
Yeah, probably.
Got all our rambling out.
Yeah.
We appreciate you guys. Love it no matter what. Whether we're focused and honed in and all business, or whether we're taking the meandering path. And that's what a book club is, isn't it? Some days you're a little more focused, and other like Ezra, and then other days you're more like Lane. You're just kind of.
Yep.
I think my internet just went dead.
Well said. Oh yeah, I'm sure it did. We had that.
Can't
was
see
part,
the dock.
That was
You
part
wanna
of our
take it from
problem
here?
earlier.
That's
yeah,
true. It's
yeah. So that's been a bit of the evening here.
Rural
so anyways,
internet. Look it up. It is a real affliction.
We're on dial-up out here, just so everyone knows.
Oh, come on.
Oh my gosh.
Just about, though.
Okay, so yeah, we're into the reread here, folks, and we are into chapter 9 of book 2, The Great River.
Yep.
In recap, farewell to Lothlorien. Galadriel gives the company, a bunch of gifts. She
About
says,
a dozen goodbyes.
farewell, 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 and so on and farewell. And it's a nice little moment. We had a discussion about memory and what that meant to the elves and what it means to like humans and dwarves and things and stuff. It was I thought it was a good little conversation. It really made me kind of dig deep and think.
Ooh, that's true. I forgot we had that.
She's looking into our characters. I mean, really, this episode, you and I were talking about Boromir and the developments that coming out of this place, where he's at mentally, and is it because of this interaction? If they would have bypassed Lothlorien, what would have, happened?
We were kind of like thinking, is it because he knows it's about time for him to possibly split away,
There you
go
go.
his own way, or was it
The encounter.
Yeah, Galadriel's piercing look into him that sort of, maybe he was holding it together before, kind of.
Yeah.
And this, he's starting to fall apart because he's been seen. You know what I mean? When
He's been
when
seen.
You're right. When you're found out, and you kind of lose your composure, you start to crack under the lie detector. Is that what was going on?
I call it a close encounter of the first kind, because, I guess she was Close.
Delvin. She's close
second
enough.
kind. I
Whatever.
don't know. Third. Whatever.
I mean, a man did cut off Sauron's ring. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
A mortal man did.
Tell us about it.
Did defeat Sauron? So
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
she might be able to do the same. I don't know.
Well, we had that discussion, didn't we, in the group? I love the
love it.
rousing,
I love it, guys.
just conversation we have there. It's great.
It's awesome.
Fantastic. Fuel for the fire. So, she ends up kind of singing them. We had some, I think we had some different Galadriel's Lament. We had some foreign languages in there last week, and those were really neat. We actually got, he sent us, Lane had said something, I forgot to mention this in other corners, but we actually got, I just forgot his name, Yell. Sending us the, he read several chapters, I think, of the Return of the King or Two Towers. I can't remember which one, and just for Lane to fall asleep to. So
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Fantastic.
And I mispronounced his name.
Yeah, am I saying it?
I said Yell.
Okay.
And I believe from the description. I'm gonna try and nail this. Yell. No, not Yell. That's not how you pronounce your name. Yella. Let me know if I got that right, because I want to get that right.
Yeah,
it's a beautiful name, and I don't want to botch a name. People botch my name all the time, and you know what? It's not my favorite thing.
Because you're lame.
Yella. Right?
Yeah, you got it. You got it. Nailed it.
He'll
Good
let
job.
us know. I appreciate that.
Okay, so we're not going to go over the gifts and everything that they all
Have we gotten off
received,
track
but-
here a little bit?
No, I think we're just kind of
sorry.
We're still recapping while your internet reboots. So that we could be here all night. That's okay. So no,
shoot.
but let's dive into it here. The summary.
Yeah.
The Great River. The journey by boat down the Anduin, the Great River. Okay. Was uneventful for some days.
Yeah.
No kidding. I mean, no kidding.
Not
At
a lot
one
happening,
point-
but it almost sort of fuels this this paranoia again. This paranoia comes back.
There
right?
you go.
We were sort of relieved. I think Aragorn was revealed. Good Lord,
sure.
I'm back. Was relieved that he didn't have to make this decision between east and west. He didn't have to make a decision
right.
between a specific
That's right.
route. But it's almost like that's quickly replaced with, we're kind of like sitting ducks between the two decisions. Like it almost may have been easier to have made a choice. It would have been longer
to
and
dive
slower, right? But you're on a river, you're easily seen, and there could be things on either side.
Right,
And
you're
it's almost
exposed.
you're almost kind of you're constantly looking around. Plus this, this they're being followed by a little foot patter. So that's also something to think about. And even though they know what it is, it's still something that could reveal them to the enemy. I mean, you're almost under more of a microscope on the river.
Yeah, and you have a tense decision to make, and your company, which we'll talk about company and fellowship. I just don't forget about that later.
No.
But your company is split in their decision.
Yeah.
And what to do. Right. Actually, Frodo has not yet really shared yet.
Sort of like a 49% to 51% pull.
Right.
Like, what do we do here, guys?
What's going on?
What do we do?
Yeah. So
yeah.
The company passed through the barren lands laid by Sauron and came across no living thing except black swans flying overhead. And we're going to get it. I mean, that was something I wasn't real sure about, and I think Lane was going to talk more on. The company decided for the most part to follow Aragorn along the path to Mordor that he had recommended. Boromir kind of disagrees, wants to return to his home with the ring.
Yeah.
Okay.
Boromir, he's crumbling, guys.
Something's
Muttering
up,
to
man.
himself. Keep it
All
real
those
close
odd
to
looks and stuff, which we're going to get into, but man,
Gosh,
some
dude,
crazy stuff going on.
So
there.
it's funny. We talked about how this is a chapter that kind of, it feels like a bridge, and it's something you can kind of brush over and not take a lot of stock in, because it's in between two really important events. But there's a lot in here. There's a lot in here, man.
Yeah, that's got me worried, because this is a chapter when I started listening, to it on my way here, and unfortunately I got interrupted, and I don't like that. I like to just have a nice, solid listen to the chapter before I start the podcast. And I was telling Lane, it's one that I don't even remember reading in my initial read. Just to be straight honest with you.
Crazy?
Yeah, I mean, I know that I pushed through some of it, but it's one of those things that as a youngster, I think I was just kind of like, okay, cool.
I like we talked about before. I can see how that would happen. I can totally see how that would happen.
So I don't know. I think you're close to the end here too, and you almost do want to rush on ahead.
Yes, you do.
And kind of see what's going to happen to our company.
Yeah.
So, but anyways, they so he's Boromir's struggling. Aragorn and Legolas decide that they need to leave the river and take to the road. Yeah. So they eventually do set on the western bank. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. So they kind of do that little portage around the difficult, shallower areas. No, the Sarngeber, the rapids that are like too violent so they have to go around, and then they go to the little where the lake the river sort of widens into a broader area, and settle on the west bank. That's right.
Gotcha.
That's
okay.
Right. Yeah.
All right, my friend. Let's see. Where should we dive in here?
Get right into it, man. So let's start in right at the beginning of the chapter. Okay. We have this. Frodo's kind of awakened by Sam.
He have a? Let me see here real quick.
The last chapter ended with him falling into an uneasy sleep.
Uneasy. That's what I was wondering.
Yeah. So he kind of wakes up, and he's wrapped up under some trees on the west bank. Slept, kind of caught up on his sleep here, which was good. So started again on the river, and like you said, this beginning of this trip is pretty uneventful. They notice that the land is starting to change.
Yeah.
And at first, this was interesting too. At first, Aragorn says, "Let's just drift.
Yeah.
Don't worry about a bunch of paddling. Let's just kind of take it easy. Let's husband our strength against the weariness to come. So let's reserve some of our, some of our muscle for later on." They'd start early each day and journey on far into the evening. And he felt in his heart that time was pressing, and he feared that the Dark Lord had not been idle while they lingered in Lothlorien. This concept also comes up later that they weren't really sure how long they spent there.
I was just about to say that. I think it was interesting because we mentioned that it was a place that it seemed like time didn't touch, and Aragorn corrects them, later on that, it obviously nothing can kind of different, mess with that. Yeah. But it definitely had a different feel to it. I think Sam's looking at the moon and is sort of confused.
You're right. Yep.
He's like, wait a second. First of all, I mean, wowzers that he can even do that. I would love to study the lunar calendar a little bit more.
Yep.
Because I think it is kind of fascinating.
And if you think about it too, that would have been one of the main ways that they, that's something they paid attention to.
Yeah, track time.
Especially him. He's a gardener. I don't know if he did some farming out in the fields, helped out as a kid. I don't know.
Yeah.
Sam's he's a cool cat. He's very close to nature.
He is.
He's got his hands in the earth, so to speak. I don't know if that's an expression, but it is now, guys.
He's got his hands
in the earth.
In the earth.
Anyway, this idea. So Aragorn was kind of relieved at the end of that last chapter. Okay, we got the boats. We're on the river. I don't have to make this decision, and that's really replaced pretty quickly by him realizing, hey, Dark Lord has probably been active, and we're out on this river, and we've got some stuff ahead of us. It's not going to be smooth sailing. Pardon the pun, but
right. And it seemed to me as they're going down here, not only are they're debating whether to go east or west, but both of the sides of the river look very different. One looks real ominous.
Yes.
Versus the other.
Yeah. So I think it says that on the third day, they started to notice the lands change. I want to read some of this because it's very interesting. Which side are they looking to? They just said the lands. Okay, so the trees thinned and then failed altogether. On the eastern bank, to their left, they saw long, formless slopes stretching up and away towards the sky. Brown and withered they look, as if fire had passed over them, leaving no living blade of green. An unfriendly waste without even a broken tree or a bold stone to relieve the emptiness. So just these brown, like formerly scorched, shapeless, formless, kind of weird desolation. They'd come to the brown lands that lay vast and desolate between southern Mirkwood and the hills of the Emyn Muil. So sort of this patch of emptiness. What pestilence or war or evil deed of the enemy had so blasted all that region, even Aragorn could not tell. So it's really interesting. I did a little bit of research real quick on what the Brown Lands technically are. And that was an area back in after the last alliance with the elves in the Third Age. Actually, before that, before that battle happened. It was an area that Sauron kind of went in and wiped out. It's formerly where the Entwives were.
Oh, okay.
And so, they get lost, or there are some theories that they were taken and tortured and mutilated and changed into something else. So that's what that is. It's an area that Sauron had kind of gone in and destroyed and wiped out. And not really sure how that happened. So it's interesting that even Aragorn doesn't know how. But upon the west, to their right, the land was treeless also, but it was flat and in many places green with wide plains of grass. On this side of the river, they passed forests of great reeds so tall that they shut out all view of the west as the little boats went rustling by along their fluttering borders. So, green and nice, but kind of blocking out all view. So not really a comforting sight to see on that side either. So you can see how they're feeling kind of, sort of a little bit paranoid.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Feeling a little trapped in, a little blocked in, like... what's coming up, what's around the bend, not really sure. We're out on the river,
I forgot about it. We're out on the water, aren't we? Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. I'm going to show this to Lane here. I know for those of you who are watching, you can see this as well.
Right.
But this map here, I just kind of found a nice...
Ooh, that's nice.
A nice map of the
nice.
area, because I was getting a little bit confused myself
we
here.
need to post that up there. Yes, sir.
Because
some of the larger maps, it is kind of vague. That's really nice and detailed. Yeah. Yep, definitely. So this is where we see they don't see any living things either. It's quiet. There's nothing going on. This is where we see these swans. Big swans that Sam kind of notices. And Aragorn says, "Yeah, black swans, right? How wide and empty and mournful all this country looks," said Frodo. "I always imagined that as one journeyed south, it got warmer and merrier until winter was left forever behind." So we kind of have this idea, and Aragorn's saying like, but it's still winter here. Maybe very far south in the Bay of Belfast, it's warm and merry. If the enemy weren't there, it might be. So he kind of explains a little bit of this of the land they're entering. So this is kind of good because he's giving it some context.
Oh wow!
Yeah, it says you're looking now southwest across the north plains of the Rittermark. So Rohan, the land of the Horse Lords. So some foreshadowing into. This group of people we've heard about before, but one we're going to get to know very, very well in the Two Towers and Return of the King. So kind of passing along or looking out over their lands. Ere long, we shall come to the mouth of the Limelight that runs down from Fangorn to join the great river. This is the north boundary of Rohan, and of old, all that lay between Limelight and the White Mountains belonged to the Rohirrim. It is a rich and pleasant land, and its grass has no rival. So beautiful for grazing for horses. But in these evil days, folk do not dwell by the river or ride often to its shores. Anduin is wide. Yet the orcs can shoot their arrows far across the stream, and of late it is said that they have dared to cross the river and raid the herds and studs of Rohan. So we're learning here that, this river is, it is wide and it is a big boundary, but there's coming and goings. The orcs are becoming bolder, as the Dark Lord's power only increases. And it's becoming more and more treacherous, and it only makes Sam more uneasy. Right.
I have a question. I'll post this map, and maybe people can take a look at it. Is there kind of like a wall, does Rohan have like along that river? And I'm just going to show this again to you, buddy. You mentioned that the Limelight comes down into the Anduin, right? And so you can see we're kind of up here still by Lorien, coming out down into on the west with the Brownlands and things. But this east wall, you see that? Is that going to come up later?
Idea.
I know that kind of struck me as and this looks like it's pretty legit. But that's as they get further down.
Wow.
Isn't that interesting? See how it stretches up around the.
And they have, so when we get to that part, so you're talking about down by the Falls of Rorus, they talk about how the land changes, and we have these steep cliffs that start to, there's the river, and then straight up it's rock faces.
Right, you'd have to go.
I wonder if maybe that extends over.
Yeah.
And that's part of it, if it's a natural wall, or if it's
that's what I was wondering. Is it a natural
man-made
type of wall, or has it eroded over time? Was there something else there?
That's a good question, dude.
Type of thing. So it just struck me when I'm looking at the map. I wasn't sure. So
Ezra's compass, there it is.
And you imagine here, as the Anduin, with the Limelight comes down, and they kind of meet. the river gets bigger, right? I mean, I guess that's
Yeah.
typically what happens, right?
Yeah.
So we've got like a larger. It becomes even more of a.
In America, I think here about the Mississippi,
Yeah. Okay.
right? You got the
Yeah.
Ohio flowing in there, you got the Missouri, and it all comes into this
True.
giant big river that sort of separates the land between east and west. That's kind of what the Anduin is. It's this
Okay.
it's this mighty, powerful, force. Yeah. So this uneasiness the next day or two only grows. They're feeling insecure, the company. They start to they start to feel this idea that there are these secret eyes kind of watching them.
Mm-hmm.
And so they start to
What secret eyes? What are we talking about
Right.
here? Whose secret eyes?
whose secret eyes?
What's going on?
Imagined or real? Dreamt or
Are they safe
reality?
eyes? Or are they just secret? I don't know.
So they start to paddle a little bit more. And the brownlands rose into bleak wolds over which flowed a chill air from the east. And then it talks about withered grass amidst the land of fen and tussock. So again, just how the land's kind of changing. But we have here this cool paragraph. We kind of get this glimpse into the mind of the fellowship, the minds of the fellowship.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're not really talking. So they're on these long stretches of the river, and nothing's really being said because they're trying to stay secretive, and they're all in their own thought. So I have this whole next paragraph.
That's like, but before that paragraph,
Yeah.
it actually it says each member of the company
Yeah.
was busy with their own thoughts.
Right.
Yeah.
So he states that there, and then he goes into exactly, a lot of times I think he would leave it at that. But here he gives us this extra paragraph where we get to know exactly what they're thinking. It's really cool.
Yeah.
The heart of Legolas was running under the stars of a summer night in some northern glade amidst the beechwoods. Gimli was fingering gold in his mind and wondering if it were fit to be wrought into the housing of the lady's gift. Merry and Pippin in the middle boat were ill at ease, for Boromir sat muttering to himself, sometimes biting his nails, as if some restlessness or doubt consumed him, sometimes seizing a paddle and driving the boat close behind Aragorn's. Then Pippin, who sat at the bow, looking back, caught a queer gleam in his eye as he peered forward, gazing at Frodo. Sam had long ago made up his mind that, though boats were maybe not as dangerous as he had been brought up to believe, they were far more uncomfortable than even he had imagined. He was cramped and miserable, having nothing to do but stare at the winter lands crawling by the gray water on either side of him. Even when the paddles were in use, they did not trust Sam with one.
That's fantastic.
So you kind of get into their minds here, and then we get at dusk. As dusk drew down on the fourth day, he was looking back over the bowed heads of Frodo and Aragorn and following the boats. He was drowsy and longed for camp and the feel of earth under his toes. Suddenly, something caught his eye. At first, he stared at it listlessly. Then he sat up and rubbed his eyes, but he looked again. He could not see it anymore. So we kind of get we have Legolas and Gimli kind of dreaming. They're in one boat daydreaming.
Yeah.
We got Merry, Pippin, and Boromir, and the other one where Boromir's kind of deteriorating, and Merry and Pippin are becoming very aware of it, very uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And then in the other boat we get Sam, no Aragorn and Frodo.
Yeah,
which is kind of interesting.
I wonder what they meant when he looks back through there and he sees their bowed heads. Are they
deep in thought?
Deep in thought. Are they sleeping? Are they bowed close together, talking to one another?
Interesting.
Probably.
Because there has been this whole lack of communication between the two. We talked about last chapter. They would almost they'd kind of miss each other. One would be ready to talk to the other one, but then they'd notice that they were deep in thought or talking to someone else, or they haven't been connecting like they have been previously.
Yeah. And when it mentions it, it's talking about Boromir there. I almost imagine he's biting his nails, he's talking to himself, and all of a sudden he suddenly looks up and looks to see where Aragorn is, and almost like he shifts off to the side to look around the hobbits and just takes off.
And he doesn't want Frodo getting too far away.
Yeah, paddling to get up close, just to be there.
Dude, I wonder. So
that's something.
Yeah, it is, and we see here in a little bit. We see this almost this competition between Boromir and Aragorn of. Like Aragorn will make a suggestion and Boromir will go, oh, well, I don't know if we could. And it's just his back and forth. His challenging of Aragorn has only gotten greater and bolder.
Yeah.
I wonder if that also, too, is this idea of, I want Frodo to follow me, not you.
Yeah, because he wants the ring to stay nearby.
Exactly.
Right,
so
because he's not really...
Dude, it's consuming him, man.
Yeah, it is. And again, we'll get into the discussion of, how was that always there? Is that was it inevitable, or is there something else going on?
Yeah, something evil working. So now we get Sam
continues on that conversation, doesn't he?
Yes.
About what he saw.
That's right. They camp out, and Sam says to Frodo, I had a funny dream an hour or two before we stopped, he said. Or maybe it wasn't a dream. Funny it was, anyway. And it's funny because here you go. Funny. Sam never dreams. Anytime the hobbits have been dreaming, or people have been asleep and dreaming, we've never had Sam have a dream.
Wow.
So I was like, of course he wasn't dreaming.
No.
Of course not.
Nope.
Sam, you don't dream. You sleep in peace.
True. Yeah.
Well, what was it? Said Frodo, knowing that Sam would not settle down until he had told his tale, whatever it was. I haven't seen or thought of anything to make me smile since we left Lothlorien. It wasn't funny that way, Mr. Frodo. It was queer. So he says, there's this log that I saw that had eyes. He goes, eyes? Don't like that thought.
Yeah.
And Frodo knows exactly what he's talking about.
Yeah, I mean, he's been seeing the same thing.
Right.
And last time we mentioned it to old Gimli, nothing really came of it,
Right.
When they look back, our friend, the eyes, were gone.
Yeah.
And so...
Yeah, so this is Gollum that's been following them. And he... Yeah, that's right. Talks about how he had seen him before. And again, it's just this process of Sam saying, I thought he was dreaming, double checking, rubbing his eyes, but what I saw, it was there. I wasn't dreaming.
When he mentions Haldir saw it as well, saw this creature
yes, that's
back
right.
in
That's right.
Lothlorien.
You remember the report of the elves? Yeah, good.
They kind of like dare at this point to put a name to
that's right.
Creature to eyes, and they name it Gollum.
Yeah.
Right, and I think Sam's recalling Bilbo's stories. He says, right, and things like that. So,
yep, kind of putting the pieces of the puzzle
boy, isn't that
together.
something to things you've heard, these old stories? This because talk about just even that in of itself. If Bilbo hadn't gone all the way to the Lonely Mountain and what have you, just had gone into the Misty Mountains and the
butterfly effect again.
Yeah,
yeah.
And that story in of itself is something that would leave a, I don't know, would be a memory that Sam
Absolutely.
and those guys grew up with.
Yeah.
Thinking about this
Yeah.
story, and now
Almost
this
like fairy
character,
tales. Yep, he's encountering himself.
Yeah, it's tailing them.
A legend. Yeah. Wow.
It's radical.
Frodo says, I fear for some time that he had been, following us even since Moria. I thought that maybe they would have lost them or lost Gollum in Lorien, but he, probably was waiting for us as we left by the Silver Lode. And then Sam just says, we got to be careful here.
Right.
We might, be a little more watchful, or else we're going to wake up or not wake up.
Yeah.
If you take my meaning, Mr. Frodo, to some fingers around our necks.
I do. Yep.
So being throttled in our sleep, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
He says, "Don't worry though. Don't trouble Strider. I'll keep watch tonight, and I can keep. I can sleep tomorrow on the boat because I'm no more than luggage."
It's kind of what I feel like right now, Lane. Just luggage.
Yeah.
Just keeping an eye on things.
That's right, man. Just
know
get
what I
those eyes on it.
Yeah.
I might, said Frodo, and I might say luggage with eyes. You shall watch, but only if you promise to wake me halfway towards the morning, if nothing happens before then.
Yeah.
So then we have that night. Frodo comes out of a dark sleep to Sam shaking him. He says, it's a shame to wake you. Nothing's happened other than some soft splashing and a sniffling noise a while back. But you hear a lot of weird sounds in the river, he says.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Let's see here. So he just woke up Frodo when he wanted to. He's starting to. Oh, this is the encounter they have. This is so crazy. So Frodo's about to kind of fall asleep when
right, because not much is going on.
Right.
It's time to.
Yeah, nothing going on. He's kind of tired, and he figures might as well go to bed.
Yeah.
Just when he has this temptation, a dark shape, hardly visible, floated close to one of the moored boats. A long, whitish hand could be dimly seen as it shot out and grabbed the gunwale. Two pale lamplight eyes shone coldly as they peered inside, and then they lifted and gazed up at Frodo on the eyot. They were not more than a yard or two away, and Frodo heard the soft hiss of intake and breath. Did you just hear it? What's going on?
No, I'm just saying. I just looked over to my right, just like he's right there. You know what I mean? Like it'd be like
I know a yard or two. I know.
like
I know.
right there, over by your cabinet. Like,
Yeah. Right.
not far.
Right.
Could just leap over here and grab us.
Throttle you in your sleep. Immediately, their light was shut off. There was another hiss and a splash, and the dark log shape shot away downstream into the night. Aragorn stirred in his sleep, turned over, and sat up. Yeah. So
That's where you learn that he's, they ask what it is, right?
yeah.
And what's going on. He's known about, this creature for a while,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so
Frodo had did I miss that line? He had stood up and taken Sting out. He was so caught off guard that he stood up, drawing Sting from his sheath.
there it
to
is.
face the eyes.
Yep.
So interesting too. Like what was Gollum doing messing with the boat? We were talking about this before. Was he going to crawl in and try and I don't know, get Frodo? Did he think maybe the ring was in the boat and he was looking for it?
Well, I mean, talk
What do
about
you
some.
think? I don't know.
Well, like some desperation there, right? Because what do you think you're going to accomplish here? Like
Right.
he's probably from the back seen, if he's trailing them. You know how Boss, Aragorn, Legolas, all these
Yeah.
guys are. I mean, and you're going to reach in there and drag Frodo in and
Right. I'm trying to figure out what. Yeah. What was his? What
it's
was
a
his
desperate
end game?
move. You know what
It
I mean?
is.
And so now I kind of see where this might be a better, like, okay, if they're sleeping and it's dark and there's this water, perhaps he can, grab him, take him under the water, drown him.
Right. That's his
and
game.
get-
He drowns
and,
things.
And get the ring. You
Yeah.
know? So, and if he can do that, there's a splash, there's some confusion, maybe he can kind of get away. But I'm just sort of, and in the dark, maybe that would be his cover in a
Yeah.
sense. But come on. Have you seen what Legolas and these other guys can do?
I know, it's perplexing. I mean, he's followed them
He
for
has,
this long.
and so that's why I
Yeah.
think there's that desperation
It
piece.
is.
He's just driven to reclaim his precious.
Yeah, it's
You
curious, man. I mean, it's truly an addict. You're
So-
right. Like reaching out, wanting that fix to get back what is his, or
Yeah.
to find a way to
And
take it.
it's been years and years since he's been. I mean, they kind of travel, sometimes during the day, and
Mm-hmm.
he's been traveling with them during that time. He has to keep up pace,
Yeah,
So that's hard on him as
crazy.
well.
It's crazy.
So he's out of his comfort zone.
That's
but
right.
yeah,
And so Aragorn wakes up and he says, "You know what's wrong? Why do you have your sword out?" And he says, "It's Gollum." And so this is where we learn that Aragorn has been aware of this too.
Yeah.
He says, "So you know about our little footpad."
mm-hmm.
He's come after us. He said he'd hoped that you could have lost him on the river, but he's too clever of a waterman,
Yeah,
and he's kept up.
and that's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
That he's a clever waterman.
Yeah. Yep.
And once we learn more about his history, it's interesting.
It is, absolutely. So he says, tomorrow we're going to try and put some more miles behind us and paddle a little faster. He's very dangerous. Quite apart from murder by night on his own account, he may put any enemy that is about on our track. So, not just like could he present a physical threat, but he could alert the enemy to where we are, give us away. Yeah, so
Yeah, for sure.
frightening.
Yeah, I don't know, man. So but he doesn't. So after that attempt, I mean, I think he's sort of startled a bit because he
Yeah.
couldn't sneak up on him, and
And maybe recognizing Sting, too, kind of freaked him out. Think about that, because he knows that sword. He knows Sting from Bilbo. I didn't even think about that, but that might have also been, not only, Frodo jumping up and him realizing that Frodo's awake, because he probably didn't know. He probably saw Frodo sitting there, and Frodo was about asleep. And so
Here's
that's when
the
he
thing.
decided to make his move.
I just went back and kind of reread that part. Why is it like what wakes Frodo up? What keeps him? What is it that draws his eyes to see Gollum? Coming at him
It's a
and things like
dark
that. Is
shape.
was he looking that direction and he's drifting off as that was the direction Sam was looking at, or did the ring warn him in some way?
And we know he has that night vision now, too. Right? He
Yeah.
has better eyesight because of his wound, because of being, almost kind of permanently partly in that shadow world.
Okay. Yeah,
Remember
okay.
in Moria, he talked about how his sight seemed better than those around him, other than maybe
Yeah.
Gimli and Gandalf. And
Yep.
maybe it was just, I don't know, dude. Was it the divine,
Something. I just think it's interesting that he
is.
looks up in time to kind of see that happening. Maybe it is
if he hadn't, what would have happened? You're right.
Yeah.
Aragorn's asleep. Sam's asleep.
Right, he kind of gets the drop on all of them a little bit, except for Frodo's. When Frodo's the first one to notice him, and he's a yard away, he's 3 feet away. I mean, what's up? What's going on there? So,
creepy.
But anyways, he doesn't show up for a while. I think he's kind of spooked off.
Yep.
Sting is out and about in Frodo's hand, so he's not going back there for a bit. But goes on to kind of say the weather was still gray and overcast. The wind from the east. But as the evening drew into night, the sky away westward cleared, and pools of faint light, yellow and pale green, opened under the gray shores of cloud. So, it just kind of goes on to describe a little bit about the moon. And this is where I think, is this where we were talking about, well, not quite yet.
No,
not yet. Okay, but we are describing a bit of the new moon that could be seen glimmering in the remote lakes. And just goes on to describe more of this country side a little bit here.
Yeah,
right?
And they're starting to paddle a little faster. Like Aragorn said, they instead of just kind of cruising, they're starting to try to put some more distance behind them to try and distance themselves from Gollum, and then also decrease the chance that he would alert others that they're around.
Mm-hmm.
So the land starts to change. Low crumbling cliffs, chimneys of gray weathered stone, dark with ivy. And beyond these, again, there rose high ridges crowned with wind-writhen firs. They were drawing near to the gray hill country of the Emyn Muil, the southern march of the Wilderland. So there are a lot of birds. They start to notice all these birds, right?
Yeah, the almost like the dark, described as dark spots against the fading light.
Yes.
Yeah, as they see him afar.
And Aragorn's kind of skeptical. He wonders if Gollum, might have spread the word.
Well, yeah,
they're out here and where to be looking for them. So.
And at what point will he kind of like? Is he working for himself, or is he going back to kind of
because he is a double agent.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
I mean, really wants this ring for himself.
He wants it for himself.
And so if he can't get it, maybe in the confusion of sending somebody in after him, he can, swipe in there and take the ring.
Right,
so.
right. Maybe someone else does the dirty work, and he's there to get the ring real quick because he knows what he's looking for. They see a hunting eagle, which is interesting.
Yeah, what's up with that?
This dark, great high bird, and Aragorn asks what it is. He says, Legolas, what is that? Is it, as I think, an eagle? Yes, said Legolas. It is an eagle, a hunting eagle. I wonder what that forebodes. It is far from the mountains. We will not start until it is fully dark, said Aragorn. So now he's thinking, we got to start. Wow. Got to start traveling by night.
Okay.
No more of this paddling out in the daylight because it's just a little too dangerous.
Well, it normally, like when I first read this, like eagle, good thing, right? But
right.
It's a hunting eagle.
Hunting eagle.
Someone
fill us in. What is that? How is that different from the great eagles? I don't know. And also, I guess maybe the location of it, right? It's not where it should be. Hunting eagle is going to be, out in the mountains looking for food, and it's kind of circling and watching us. Like, what is that all about?
Yeah.
So here's the part where we have, the eighth night of their journey comes. It's interesting how Tolkien kind of is, sometimes we lose track of time. He's giving us a very specific time here.
Yeah.
Marking the nights off. So the eighth night is when they start to notice the difference. No, I'm sorry. Oh my gosh, dude. I'm nuts.
What?
I'm nuts. We're not there yet. We're not about the moon.
Well, it's still being described. It's still being subtly described.
Right. You're right.
As we get to that part, though, yeah.
But Aragorn's talking about venturing one more night, and then we'll be coming to the reaches of the river that I do not know well. So we're almost outside of his range. He's been in these parts before, but never by water. Not between here and the rapids of Sarn Geber. But if I'm right in my reckoning, those are still many miles ahead. Still, they are dangerous. There are dangerous places even before we come there. Rocks and stony ayats in the stream. So river's starting to turn kind of treacherous here.
Yeah, and I'm glad that I'm kind of in the same place that Aragorn is, and that don't really not real familiar with the lay of the land of this area. So,
so Sam is the watchman, right? And it's a good thing he was. The night grew dark, but the stars above were strangely bright. There was a glimmer on the face of the river. It was close on midnight, and they had been drifting for some while, hardly using the paddles, when suddenly Sam cried out. Only a few yards ahead, dark shapes loomed up in the stream, and he heard the swirl of racing water. So, they were further ahead than Aragorn had realized. This was them, coming upon these rapids long before he thought, or not long before, but before he thought that they were going to. And it's apparently an incredibly treacherous area. Like, they talk about how even during the day,
right, it could be very risky.
You don't want to try and take those. So they have to kind of move, and they're kind of like shouting out to each other, so they're causing a bit of a commotion, and they have to get away from these rapids and move towards the western shore.
Yeah.
And as they do this, they're getting kind of pushed towards the eastern bank, which is dark and ominous even in the night.
Yeah, yeah.
But they're starting to paddle away, and this is when they get this out of nowhere, the twang of bowstrings, several arrows coming from the eastern bank, falling among them. So I thought it was so cool how it
worst time for that to happen.
No kidding. Yeah. So can you imagine being like, first of all, not all of them are great at boating. I mean, Aragorn is, Legolas is great, and so is Boromir. But you've got hobbits in the midst of all this. You've got Gimli, who not exactly a boatman.
Yep.
And you're pretty much being sniped. I mean, you're on the water. You're trying to battle both the river and this new assault coming on.
Frodo gets hit.
Yeah,
man.
I love this. And it's so. I mean, Frodo would be dead if it wasn't for that gift that Bilbo gave him. Talks about it hits him between the shoulders and bounces right off, but he's still, the impact lurches him forward and he cries, letting go of his paddle. But the arrow fell, foiled by his hidden coat of mail. Another passed through Aragorn's hood, so right through his hood, and a third stood fast in the gunwale of the second boat, close to Merry's hand. Almost loses his hand there. Sam thought he could glimpse black figures running to and fro upon the long shingle banks that lay under the eastern shore. They seemed very near. So you got Legolas even slipping back into his elven tongue. Urk!
Yeah.
Gimli translating for us. Orcs!
Yeah.
So Sam says of Frodo too, got to be Gollum's doing.
Right,
I'll be bound. So...
Well, and they said the river seems to be setting us right into their arms. As you said, it's kind of pushing them
to the east
in that direction. I mean, guys, honestly, Frodo does live, but he almost died.
Pretty dang close.
Right there.
Pretty dang close.
I mean, can you imagine that to knock him forward like that too? I know that they're smaller and things, but like the impact at which that's coming is you're dead.
Absolutely.
Or you're severely
he'd
wounded.
been gone. Yeah, he'd been gone.
If it's between the shoulder blades, I mean, that's
coming out
in
in
the
your
lung.
heart. Yeah, or your lung or whatever.
Whatever.
Major artery, for sure. So you get the idea, too, that this is a place they would have stood and waited to ambush anyway. And thinking, if someone is traveling by night, even if they know where they are, they could hit these rapids kind of unexpectedly. And then that would be a great place to just start slinging these arrows.
Here's the thing: if you've been tracking them and you've seen them and you understand, you watch their pace, and you know that they continued on through the night, and you can get on ahead of them. There's where we're gonna spring the trap.
Yeah. So, it says that every moment they expected to feel the bite of black feathered arrows. So just anticipating those hits.
Sure.
Many whined overhead or struck the water nearby, but there were no more hits. It was dark, but not too dark for the night eyes of orcs. And in the star glimmer, they must have offered their cunning foes some mark, unless it was that the gray cloaks of Lorien and the gray timber of the elf-wrought boats defeated the malice of the archers of Mordor. So we're starting to see the importance of those gifts already.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Save their lives here.
Yeah.
This is not an easy fight back to the western shore. Stroke by stroke, they're laboring in the darkness until that shadow of the eastern bank kind of fades away. They get out of danger, and they're over to the other bank there.
Yeah, I think it's neat though. I mean, the idea that their cloaks could be making it even more difficult. Also, they're shooting into the dark, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean they are. But,
right?
but it talks about how it wasn't too dark for their vision. These orcs are used to the dark, so it was almost like it was because of these cloaks, because of these boats, that they were able to be cloaked. No pun intended.
Yeah.
So you get to the other side, and you have this cool moment where Legolas kind of, jumps out of the boat, takes his bow, and spring ashore to look across the water.
Yep.
So stringing the bow and fitting an arrow, he turned, peering back over the river into the darkness. Across the water, there were shrill cries, but nothing could be seen. Then something very interesting happens. Frodo looked up at the elf standing tall above him. As he gazed into the night, seeking a mark to shoot at, his head was dark, crowned with sharp white stars that glittered in the black pools of the sky behind. So you have this hero moment, kind of his hero
great.
shot of Legolas.
Yep.
But now, rising and sailing up from the south, the great clouds advanced, sending out dark outriders into the starry fields. A sudden dread fell over the company. Elbereth Githoniel, sighed Legolas as he looked up. So we have that. It's hearkening back to Three's company, right? The elf company that was singing about Elbereth Githoniel.
Yeah.
Even as he did so, a dark shape like a cloud, and yet not a cloud, for it moved far more swiftly, came out of the blackness in the south and sped towards the company, blotting out all light as it approached. Soon it appeared as a great winged creature, blacker than the pits in the night. Fierce voices rose up to greet it from across the water. Frodo felt a sudden chill running through him and clutching at his heart. There was a deadly cold, like the memory of an old wound in his shoulder. He crouched down as if to hide. Suddenly the great bow of Lorien sang. Shrill went the arrow from the elven string. Frodo looked up. Almost above him, the winged shape swerved. There was a harsh, croaking scream as it fell out of the air, vanishing down into the gloom of the eastern shore. The sky was clean again. There was a tumult of many voices far away, cursing and wailing in the darkness, and then silence. Neither shaft nor cry came again from the east that night.
All right.
So-
All right. Set the book down for a second.
Let's have a little conversation.
The sky is cleaned. It's been cleaned,
Yeah.
thankfully. I mean, obviously, the pain in his wound coming back. This creature, black, blacker than black, and winged, flying.
Right. So we've got this connection to obviously the ring wraiths, right? The black riders.
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah.
Right. But we thought, they were gone. They'd come back maybe, but how is it that this thing in the sky flying, this big shadow, could also be them, right? It's very confusing.
Yeah.
And this is also kind of it's a growing from something that happened earlier. If we go back to when the ring, in the chapter The Ring Goes South, on page 279, they have that. Remember that there's that weird, vague kind of shadow that passes.
Yeah.
That
I
Frodo
do.
notices.
Right. I remember that.
Gandalf does too. And they're like, did I really just see that? What
was that? Yeah.
Right. And we kind of theorized then, like, was that the ring wraith? One of the Black Rider spirits retreating back to Mordor to gain strength. What was that? Was it the fell beast? It's already winged. What's going on with that?
Right.
So yeah, it's almost kind of this coming to fruition, or starting to come to fruition of that idea that the Black Riders are back. Not sure how they're flying around yet.
Yeah.
But that's got to be what this is, because the next conversation they have is they're kind of saying, it felt like a Belrog. Gimli kind of comparing it to that evil, that darkness, right?
Yeah. And
as Frodo says, it was no Belrog. It was something something colder. I think it was, and then he kind of stops. And then of all people, you got Boromir. What do you think? What was it?
Yeah.
As if he was trying to catch a glimpse of Frodo's face. He's kind of leaning from his boat. I think, no, I will not say.
Yep.
Answered Frodo. Whatever it was, its fall has dismayed our enemies. So it seems, Aragorn says. Yet where they are and how many and what they will do next, we do not know.
Yeah. First of all, did Legolas just pick this bad boy out of the sky?
I mean,
he did that thing.
He definitely wounded it.
Did he wound it? Did it take off?
That's a good question.
Did it die?
Good question.
Just throwing
Did
it
it
out
have to
there.
land on the East Bank, and that's where all the cries were about, kind of cursing this bow of Lorien?
Right. But, do you think, we don't know how long really it takes for their recovery or for them to take kind of to be
Yeah.
cloaked again.
It's a great
And,
great question.
So is this, does this beast have a rider or does it not? Does it need a rider?
A lot of questions.
Yeah, a lot of questions.
And Frodo doesn't, obviously we have that connection to his wound, feeling cold again, take him back to that moment where he was stabbed. But he doesn't really get to say he's cut off. And he doesn't want to, he's getting more and more protective of what he's saying. He doesn't want to reveal all of his thoughts. In the same way that Aragorn seems to be kind of protecting, his ideas too. They're very closed off here because they sense that they sense what's going on with Boromir.
Yeah,
they know that there's some fractioning within the Fellowship, which is really within the company, which is really kind of sad. So
yeah, Frodo's silence started back when they were, like their last night there. They're having their meeting and kind of deciding what they should do.
And I kind of wonder if that caution wasn't put there from Galadriel.
Yeah, could have been.
Just I don't know, that mirror experience changed him for sure.
Yep.
So Aragorn says, who knows what day will tell us. Have your weapons close to hand.
Right. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Having your weapons close to hand, I mean, almost kind of sounds like, I don't know, like it might make.
No, here we go.
Some sort of perfect name.
It could.
If one were to start a podcast.
It could, my friend.
Which makes me think, one of these days, you got to start a Lord of the Rings podcast.
Yeah, we will.
But we got to get the name just right.
Mm-hmm. We do.
Any ideas?
Yeah. Let's see. Husband Your Strength podcast.
Ooh, I like it. That's kind of. What about the wives?
We'll
We'll have to include them somehow.
Should have got that in there.
Our Little Footpad podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that one.
Okay.
The Soft and Sad podcast.
Ooh. I can do one better. The Proud and Erect podcast.
Who is coming up with the wow.
We are.
We are. Because we're trying to figure out if we should start a podcast.
Yeah. Any other ideas?
Yeah, the Kaza Pod.
Ooh, I like
Right.
that. Beautiful. Pod Save the Shire.
I like that actually a lot.
We're getting pretty close.
Yeah, we're getting there.
Not there yet, but one of these days, huh?
I actually really like Pod Save the Shire.
Pod Save the Shire.
Oh, goodness. So now what do we do here? I mean, that
have
bad
no
boy
idea.
just flew over top. I mean, do we care? Are you thinking about turning around and heading back home?
Going back to the Shire. I
Is
mean, if
that-
I die, whatever.
So,
I'm doing what I loved.
Drop me off here. Let me see if I can hitch a ride back. Where's that Shadowfax guy? Yes.
So now we have this whole kind of they're sitting there that night, and Frodo. Sam's kind of he's thinking, right? He's getting lost in his thought. He's looking at the moon. This is where you go as
There it is.
starting to think about the moon here. We got this whole Lothlorien time warp thing. How does time work? How long were they there?
Yeah.
And there's whole conversation of trying to figure out exactly how long it was.
Let's see. Yeah. So Sam goes on to kind of mention here, counting those, looking at the moon and trying to figure out, it was full from a week ago and whatnot. He says, I can remember 3 nights that we were there for certain, and I seem to remember several more. But I would take my oath it was never a whole month. Anyone would think that time did not count there. And Frodo goes on to say, and perhaps that was the way of it in a land, such as Lorien, I think. So, there's more discussion here. I think Legolas chimes in a bit later and says, "Nay, time does not tarry ever." So they talked about possibly it kind of stopping and standing still while they were there. But he says but changing growth is not in all things and places alike.
Yeah, so interesting.
Yeah, what the heck
It's
does
like
that
this
mean?
relativity thing. Like,
Yeah.
and he goes on to explain for the elves, the world moves, and it moves both very swift and very slow. Swift because they themselves change little, and all else fleets by. It is a grief to them. Slow because they do not count the running years, not for themselves. The passing seasons are but ripples ever repeated in the long, long stream. Yet beneath the sun, all things must wear to an end at last. So just really interesting. This whole concept of time.
It's backwards from
Immortality
what you would think.
Right.
Right, because you would think that it would be long to them,
Yeah.
but it's time is passing swiftly.
Right.
It's
like dog years and human years.
Yeah, well, kind of.
Sort of.
I look at it as if I were an elf and I'm like kind of watching just swiftly man, like just father to son to grandson, the passing of time, and I see it almost seems so quick.
Mm-hmm.
Your life is just sort of like this spark.
Mm-hmm.
It's a vapor. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, interesting.
It's both. Yeah, that's the thing. Swift and slow.
Yep. And he goes on to kind of say, the passing seasons are but ripples ever repeated in a long, long stream. Yet beneath the sun, all things must wear to an end at last. And Frodo says, but the wearing is slow in Lorien. The power of the lady is on it. Rich are the hours, though short they may seem. And here's where he mentions that she was wearing a ring.
Yeah.
She was wearing one of the elven rings.
Yeah.
And he kind of gets scolded for mentioning that, doesn't he?
Yeah.
So that's not something that should be said outside of Lorien, not even to me.
Yeah.
Is what Aragorn kind of scolds him, because he mentions that Galadriel in her ring, which we learned about, was that last chapter or 2 chapters ago?
Yeah.
In the mirror.
Yep.
He sees it when he's looking into the mirror.
And it's Aragorn that kind of puts them all straight. He sort of, well, not puts them all, but explains it. So he kind of takes what Sam said and what Frodo has said and Legolas, and sort of bridges the gap. He says, their time flowed swiftly by us as for the elves. So we almost kind of experienced time as they would. The old moon passed, and a new moon waxed and waned in the world outside, while we tarried there. And yester eve, a new moon came again. Winter is nearly gone. Time flows on to a spring of little hope.
What? Winter is nearly nearly gone?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? Hold on a second.
You heard winter is coming. You're wrong.
No, yeah,
Okay,
I did.
it's a
hear
different
that.
book.
I did hear that. But that's strange. I felt like they were just heading into December and everything.
Yeah.
So what time is when is this?
I don't know, man.
I'll look it up.
I don't know. Earth years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
They're talking here. The weather starts to change a little bit. It starts to warm up. So we talked about the beginning. Beginning this on the river, there was that cold air from the east.
Mm-hmm.
But the air grew warm and very still under the great moist clouds that had floated up from the south and the distant seas. The rushing of the river over the rocks of the rapids seemed to grow louder and closer. The twigs of the trees above them began to drip. So, the mood becomes softer and sadder. Dawn grew to a pale light, diffused and shadowless. There's mist on the river and fog, and the far bank can't be seen. And Sam says, usually I don't like fog, but this might be a good thing for us with those goblins chasing us. And Aragorn kind of agrees, but it'll be hard to find the path unless the fog lifts a little faster, or it lifts a little later on. And we must find a path if we are to pass Sarngeber and come to the Emyn Muil. So he's kind of revealing his thoughts there a little bit. That's maybe where they're going to head.
Yeah.
This is where Boromir disagrees. If Emyn Muil lies before us, then we can abandon these cockle boats and strike westward and southward until we come to the Entwash and cross into my own land. He says we can if we're making for Minas Tirith, but we haven't agreed yet, is what Aragorn kind of says back and forth.
Hold on
so we're
a
starting to
sec.
see this rift a little bit here.
Yeah.
Even more. So, yeah. And, Boromir's saying, yeah, but the enemy holds the eastern bank. And
He's got a point.
He does. And he says, what happens when we come to the falls of Rauras and the Tind Rock? You guys going to jump off?
Yeah.
Leap down? Aragorn says, no. We'll take our boats down. There is a north stair. And what about the high seat upon Amon Hen? We can get up the top there, take a little look around, and see what's before us and all around us.
Yeah, that is really. I'd love to see some of that on a map, because I was, kind of wondering what he meant there.
Yeah.
So, basically, like along the edge, like they could go down the fall,
There's a
right?
stair that leads down.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
yeah, an ancient way. So Yeah, so pretty much it's just they're kind of going back and forth here, debating, what they should do. And Boromir holds long against his choice, but when it became plain that Frodo would follow Aragorn wherever he went, he gave in. So again, he's kind of evaluating Frodo here. Where's he going to go? All right, how can I try and...
Yeah, how much do I push this?
Right.
Because eventually he's going to have to really set off on his own.
Yeah.
Or he's going to... Because he keeps saying he's going to at some point, like
right.
You go past the point of no return,
right.
and what have you. The other idea that you would take the whole company across to the eastern shore, and it's almost like, we know this, that there has to be a split here.
Yeah.
We almost need a diversion.
Yeah.
Because of Boromir makes the point that it's held by the enemy for sure, clearly, and we just, can you imagine, like arrows are coming from that direction, and you're sitting there as Frodo saying, "That's the way I have to go."
Yeah, and it's interesting you bring that up too, because in Tish's story, she was talking about she likes to think about the idea of Boromir. Her favorite character is Boromir, and Boromir and Faramir. If Faramir had come in Boromir's stead, would the Fellowship have survived?
Yeah,
or stayed intact? Yeah. But you're right with the whole idea of diversion. Like, if the Fellowship has stayed intact, would they have fulfilled their quest?
Yeah.
Did it need to splinter? Did it need to break eventually? We're getting ahead of ourselves a little bit, but,
No, but
did it need to break so that, there's one eye, it can't look at all those things at once.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And so ultimately is the fact that this dissension happens and it does break for the best. Yeah. Right? It's something that has to happen.
Agreed.
Yeah. So they're trying to figure out how they're going to get around these rapids.
Yeah.
And so, pretty much saying that no one has ever gotten through these alive.
Holy.
Yeah. Even though the boats wouldn't sink, they don't think that they'd make it. It's treacherous. It's very treacherous.
People die in those, man.
They do.
I wouldn't go. I haven't been whitewater rafting, but
don't plan on it.
Can you
imagine us on a boat together whitewater rafting?
Cannot, actually.
We'd both die.
We would. I would drown.
Even with vests on, we'd be gone.
Goner. Crack my head on a rock.
We're out.
Dunzo.
We're out.
So, no thank you. Good.
So, again, there's more of this, too. Boromir, he's seldom in my life has a boat come out of the north. He's talking about, we're not going to, he's just continuing on. It's just getting kind of old, actually. And Aragorn kind of says, peril lies ahead on every southward road. Wait for us one day if we do not return at that time. Oh, I'm sorry. This is where Aragorn's saying, I got to go see if there's a way around these rapids. So I'm going to go see what I can find. And this makes Frodo really nervous. He sees Aragorn and Legolas leave, and he's kind of worried about being left there alone with, not alone, but, without them and Boromir.
He just got Gimli.
That's right.
Could Gimli,
and his Hobbit buddies,
if he had to, take Boromir?
That's a great question.
Sorry. It just...
And I don't know. What would that be like?
Can you
imagine a showdown?
See that.
I wouldn't want to see that either. I kind of would, though.
But now that you've left them here themselves.
We could do Mortal Kombat and have Gimli versus Boromir. That'd be pretty cool. So they're only gone a couple hours. Aragorn says all is well. There's a way around. So they start this whole portage where they take the boats. They're handling baggage, and they're kind of bypassing the rapids here.
Yeah.
Merry and Pippin are helping carry baggage. The hobbits are carrying the baggage. Boromir and Aragorn are taking the boats. But they talk about how light the boats are.
Sure, yeah.
They're magical. It's almost like they're like...
And they want to save them, don't they? They don't
absolutely.
Yeah.
It's almost like they're this balsa wood or something. Like it's lighter. They said even Merry and Pippin alone could carry their boat. If it was flat, if it was the right kind of terrain, they could...
Yeah.
A couple hobbits.
And they really don't sink. Like, they're not really going to sink.
They're unsinkable. They're amazing. So, they want to save those. So, obviously, you have... you got Aragorn and Boromir carrying the boats. The rest of them are kind of carrying the packs. And they turn back towards a little pool that had been scooped out and no further passage on foot. They get to this point where they're kind of sleepy and tired, and their hearts are gloomy as the day starts to die down. So they got to rest there for the night. You got Boromir here poking fun at poking fun at Gimli. There's some exchange that happens, So just Boromir's really kind of. I mean, he's just sort of.
He's getting on your nerves, isn't he?
Man, he is, and he's just.
I don't think it's his fault.
What do you think? You think he's overcome by this evil desire? You think is he a Judas? Does he have to do what he's about to do? Is there no? Is it like?
Wow!
Was that his task? Was that his destiny to divide the fellowship? I don't know.
Yeah, I actually think, of course, we're getting closer and closer to this parting, but I think the idea. I honestly think had he not had the encounter with Galadriel, I get that there's something going on in his mind, clear back at the council, and he has a different mindset here. And he's even expressed that as they get closer to Lorien. But I really think his encounter with Galadriel kind of showed him, the way in which things really showed him what's in his mind. Mm-hmm. And once he sees that that's really where his mindset is and that he thinks it's a good idea to take the ring and it needs to go there, I almost don't see this out of like again, everyone's trying to do what's right, and so he is trying in his mind to do what he thinks is best for his people, maybe even for the company. And if everyone's against you, and you feel like you are the one who sees what should be done, he's in a tough spot.
Almost kind of zealous, isn't he?
Yeah, and so he is trying to play this game or whatever, but madness is starting to set in. And it's not. I don't even know that it's like a possession for for. I don't know. It's just
he is so pitiable to me. I mean, I really feel bad for Boromir because he is. You're right. He is trying to do what he feels is best. He feels like no one's listening to him. He is a hero. In Gondor, he's the man, right? And he's coming here and he's got to play second fiddle to Aragorn, who really, his destiny is to become king of the city that is, that Boromir has helped fight and defend, fight for and defend, and that would be. I do not envy him of his standing and then his position within the Fellowship. That would be hard.
Yeah,
it is really hard.
And we talked about the stresses. I think he mentions. At least maybe this might be the extended edition I was watching, but the extra stress that he has to keep up, the defenses of Gondor,
right?
And to make sure that he just has a lot to live up to, And the ring's right there. He can go back and he can really protect his people. It's sort of like this immediate, it's a quick solution, really. I guess I don't know. So,
and when you've seen your people suffer so much too, you're probably thinking, all right, here's something powerful I could use to defeat the enemy. No one thinks it'll work. No one thinks I can do it, but I can.
Yeah.
And I would use it for the right reasons. And he doesn't have. You're right. He's almost kind of got these blinders on, with the best intentions. But we've seen time and time again how the ring uses that to corrupt. That's exactly what the ring wants you to think, that you can use it with the right intentions.
Yes. Right.
And that you'll defeat it. You'll defeat Sauron.
Right.
That's what it wants you to think.
Yeah, it does. It does. You're
Everyone, every single person that it possesses or starts to wear away on. So, okay, I mean, I'm sorry that I've been leading us through this river a little bit like Strider myself.
It's fantastic.
There's just a lot to get stuck into, and how long do you want to spend on this versus, just picking out the major plot points. So we get back into the river. Nothing happened that night. We had a little bit of rain the next day. Okay, and start back on the river. All right, as soon as it's fully light. Aragorn says we got to travel by day again, unless the weather changes and cheats us. So pretty much we're getting here now. The river starts to channel and get swifter. The cliffs start to rise on either side. The land changes yet again, and we come upon the Argonath, the Pillar of Kings, which is such a monumental moment in the film.
Yeah,
and it's really, it's no less impactful here in the book. Really, really cool.
Yeah,
really cool.
Real quick, I might have missed this. Like, what they go up and take a look see. What was the verdict there? I'm just trying to remember. Didn't they leave for a bit? Right.
Yeah, that was to find the way around the rapids, the portage. Talking about Aragorn and Legolas.
Okay, gotcha.
Is there talking about?
Yeah.
They went and they found the way. He said, "No worries, there's a clear way around."
And then they
came
did
back,
actually carry.
and they went around.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay,
they
that's
did.
what I thought. All right.
Yep. And then they took a rest there. They retired. It wasn't an easy road.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Yeah. And,
Okay.
And from hauling on that baggage, they were
So
worn out.
yeah. So
This is the
they're
next
back
day.
at it.
Yep.
Yeah,
Back
next
at
day.
it. Just beautiful. Gosh, dude, his descriptions are so good too. I don't want to just sit here and read all of it, but I do want to read some of it because it's just
Go
beautiful.
for it. I'm looking at the drizzle of rain, and it just
Yeah.
puts me in a
I know, right?
Good
Kind of
place.
nice. So I'm going to go over to where what Frodo starts to see as they approach the Argonath. Frodo, peering forward, saw in the distance 2 great rocks approaching, like great pinnacles or pillars of stone. They seemed tall and sheer, and ominous they stood upon either side of the stream. A narrow gap appeared between them, and the river swept the boats toward it. "Behold the Argonath, the pillars of the kings," cried Aragorn. "We shall pass them soon. Keep the boats in line, and as far apart as you can, hold the middle of the stream." As Frodo was borne towards them, the great pillars rose like towers to meet him. Giants they seemed to him, vast gray figures, silent but threatening. Then he saw that they were indeed shaped and fashioned. The craft and power of old had wrought upon them, and still they persevered, though the suns and rains of forgotten years, the mighty likeness in which they had been hewn.
Mm-hmm.
Upon great pedestals, founded in the deep waters, the 2 great kings of stone, still with blurred eyes and crannied brows, they frowned upon the north. The left hand of each was raised palm outwards in gestures of warning. In each right hand there was an axe. Upon each head there was a crumbling helm and crown. Great power and majesty they still wore, the silent wardens of a long-vanished kingdom. Awe and fear fell upon Frodo, and he cowered down, shutting his eyes and not daring to look up as the boat drew near. Which is cool, because in the movie they're all looking up in amazement and astonishment.
Yep.
And so here it's crazy. This is such a wonder, and it's such a powerful image that he can't even bring himself to look. Even Boromir bows his head.
Yeah. Yep.
These great sentinels of Numenor. But it's pretty cool what happens. And even Sam's like, "What a terrible place. Let me get to the ground." And you've got again this glimpse. So it's so cool. You can't really do this in the films. It's hard to do. But in the books, we have this. Every once in a while, we have these glimpses of seeing Aragorn no longer as the ranger, but as the king.
Yeah.
Almost like these. You talk about the only context I have is like the transfiguration of Jesus, right?
Okay.
Like Jesus was uncomely, and in the Bible anyway, like we were brought up with these stories of Jesus. Like he wasn't much to look at.
Yeah.
He wasn't anything special.
Right.
But you talk about when he was transfigured, right? When he went up on the mount,
Yeah.
the disciples saw him.
Absolutely.
His raiment was white, and so
Was white,
that's what I think of when I see these when I read these moments with Aragorn. It's like they almost forget that he is this great king, and it's kind of unveiled for a second. And it's always when he comes in contact with this history.
Oh yeah,
these
do
moments.
you remember when we were back at Weathertop?
Yes,
and
exactly.
Yeah, and like
I do.
a crown sort of appeared
Yep.
around him, and
it's almost
and the
like
sky behind
Weathertop
him.
itself was this crown on his head.
Yeah.
So we have another one of these moments, not Frodo. Gosh, guys, sorry. Ugh, it's late. Sam saying, I want to get to the ground. I don't ever want to be in a river, not even a puddle again.
Mm-hmm.
And Aragorn says,
I'll never wet my toes in a puddle again.
yeah, let alone a river.
Good grief.
He says, fear not. And Frodo turned and saw, they said it was a strange voice behind him. You didn't even recognize it as Aragorn. Frodo turned and saw Strider, and yet not Strider, for the weather-worn ranger was no longer there. In the stern sat Aragorn, son of Arathorn, proud and erect, guiding the boat with skillful strokes. His hood was cast back, and his dark hair was blowing in the wind. A light was in his eyes, a king returning from exile to his own land. And so really, this was marking the boundary of, Gondor from back in the day. The kingdom of Numenor. So he is returning. He's returning back to the land where Isildur reigned. And one of these figures is Isildur.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So he goes on to say, looking back on, I have a long desire to look upon, the great kings of old, my kin. So yeah, just a cool moment.
Yeah, it actually is, and I think don't they kind of actually represent both kingdoms. Too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's right.
So,
yeah, because in the movies it looks like it's Isildur and Elendil.
yeah.
It's very clear, like it definitely looks like that. But here it's Isildur and Anarion, his brother.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're right.
It's just kind of neat, like this. You can really see it. You know, the way in which Aragorn looks.
Yeah.
It's just an awesome moment.
Yeah.
I don't know, that light in his eye. You know, it just makes you.
And then it fades
Okay.
It fades as he thinks. You know, how I wish that Gandalf were here.
Yeah.
And he suddenly realized that like we're coming to this point where I don't know what road to take.
Yeah.
He's finally forced with this decision.
And where now shall I go?
That he actually doesn't even have to make. It's kind of made for him. But yeah, this is above him.
Yes, my goodness. Okay. Yeah, so we get through there, right?
Yes.
And did they spend another night there, or is it
This is them entering so okay, they come through this passage where the Argonath is, and we get a bunch of names to places, and the land changes again.
Oh yeah, this was overwhelming.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the pent water spread out into a long oval lake, Pale Nen Hithoel. I don't know exactly how to say that one, guys.
Mm-hmm.
Fenced by steep gray hills whose sides were clad with trees, but their heads were bare, cold gleaming in the sunlight. And so they look out and they see an island in the waters, about which the flowing river flung pale shimmering arms. Distant but deep they were, up on the wind, a roaring sound like the roll of thunder heard far away. Behold, Tol Brandir, said Aragorn, pointing out to the tall peak. Upon the left stands Amon-La. In the days of the great kings there were high seats upon them, and the watch was kept there. But it is said that no foot of man or beast has ever been set upon Tol Brandir. Ere the shade of night falls, we shall come to them. I hear the endless voice of Rauris calling, so the falls, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
So they rested here for a little bit. They eat some food, and they steer their way out. And the three peaks loomed before them, darkening in the twilight. Rauris was roaring with a great voice. Already night was laid, and the flowing waters, when the travelers came out at last under the shadow of the hills. So the 10th day of the journey was over. The Wilderland was behind them, and the last stage of the quest was before them. So a couple of cool connections before we do some, reflection. I can see you can see it rolling in your eyes, my friend.
Yeah, it is. So please connect me.
I just have a couple. I think it's interesting how, they're traveling along the Anduin.
Okay.
Which is, where the ring, was lost for so long, right?
Yeah.
And it's interesting how, it had been lost there and had been concealed there, and now it's, traveling down in another form of concealment, but to be destroyed. Before it was concealed there so it could survive, and now it's being concealed above to be destroyed.
Yeah,
it might be a stretch, but it's just this, and there's a better way to articulate that, but I'm just thinking it's kind of ironic, that we're back at the Great River again, and its purpose is the same but changed. Whatever.
No, yeah, it's
you know what I mean.
Totally get you.
Yeah, it's
and
a
also,
mind screw.
The proximity to which Isildur's heir is there.
Yeah.
With the ring coming back down the river. Yeah.
So it's all this redemption.
Yeah.
It's this heavy redemption theme going on. Yeah, you're right. Aragorn and then even passing by Isildur's statue.
Yeah.
In the Argonath. Wow, that's crazy. And a returning of the to his land. Yeah, crazy. And then also just the three peaks. So you've got the three peaks of Amon-La.
Explain this, because I just tried to look it up a little bit here.
Amon-La, Amon-Hen, and Tol Brandir. And I'm thinking back to the three peaks of Caradhras, and then the two others.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And for us, that signified defeat and loss. Right. We tried to conquer, had to go through Moria, and then we lost Gandalf. And they even talk about when they're going back and making their way towards Lorien, they see the three peaks again. And Gimli kind of had that reaction where he sort of like shook his fist. You've defeated us. You've taken because of you, we've lost our Gandalf.
Right.
And it's almost like there's this foreboding again. We see Three Peaks again, right? And we know what's about to happen. The Fellowship's about to break. The Fellowship's about to fail. So 3 peaks ahead, someone's about dead. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Red sky at night.
Oh, man.
Sailors delight. Red sky at dawn. Sailors eat prawn. I don't know what but it's sort of that concept that, like, here we go again. Something bad's about to happen. Or good, depending on how you're looking at it, I guess. So, wow. A lot in that chapter, man.
Yeah, there is.
A lot in that chapter.
So these ancient ruins, though, I eventually want to maybe have some discussion with some people in the
Great Watchtowers
in the group here. Yeah, because this is very ancient history.
Yes, it is.
So I just think that's really, really cool. So yeah. So anyways, yeah, I'm trying to get the lay of the land here concerning this ancient kingdom. I like to really see it laid out.
And maybe that's something we could get into on, in the Hobbit's Guide Home. We could kind of explore the history here. So
yeah, because it's just I don't know,
watchtowers or seats where they would kind of. Amon Hen means hill of sight, hill of the eye.
Okay, wow.
And that's on the western.
But are these surrounding the lake? Like, is that what they're seeing? Like, as they approach.
Well, and so the Tinned Rock, or I think it's Tol Brandir, is the one in the middle. So remember in the film, the film does a great job of depicting it.
Small island. Yeah,
it goes right up in the middle, and then Amon looking south. Amon Hen is to the right, and Amon Law is to the left.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. That's making more sense now.
So from a distance back in the lake, they can see those three.
Wow, and I just looked up a picture too, which really helps as well. I just typed in.
I love this part of the movie. Well, I mean, I told you after we watched the extended edition. And I think I've said it on here before, the last 30 minutes of the Fellowship of the Ring is the finest cinema that's ever been created, ever will be. It's got everything, and it's perfect. So, there are portions of time where, or times in my life when I could only watch a portion of the film, and I would select that last 30 minutes because it's my favorite. So I love this, and they nailed this in the film. I mean, it's beautiful. They don't explain all these names. They don't explain all these areas. Because it's more about the drama within the Fellowship. Oh, we didn't bring that up. How interesting is that, guys? Have you noticed too that the Fellowship is always called the Company?
Yeah.
Which, I mean, is a lot like, obviously, Thorin's company. A large party. That's what you call them. Yeah, sure. In the Hobbit, but it's like they're rarely called the Fellowship. Yeah, it's really interesting. That's something I remembered reading before. Like, I remembered the Fellowship being mentioned time and time again. It's not really. Yeah.
Not as much as you would
think.
And companies often
a few times, but more often they're called the Company. So.
Yeah, and as you said, you just mentioned the Hill of Seeing too. So real quickly back to the 3 peaks here, and then on the left hand side, on the eastern side, is the Hill of Hearing. Yeah, I'm looking up the translations and stuff. So this is neat. This is an area I've not really ever looked at or wanted to experience.
It is interesting too that they're
up close. I guess
they're on the western bank, and it's the Hill of the Eye. Yeah, right. So the irony there that the Eye of Sauron.
Right. Yeah, we're gonna encounter. Yeah,
we'll play on words there.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Any other cool connections?
Wow. No, that was amazing.
I'll tell you what, it was amazing you just guided us right down the river there, my friend.
Not very well. I'm sorry, guys.
I think you did an amazing job.
I couldn't read tonight, and it's been a long week, so I'm sure I'm like sputtering, but thank you for.
I almost put my feet up and just
you're playing Sam.
Just let you just.
But thank you for
That's why I told you, just the luggage here, keeping an eye on you.
Hey, and that's the other
making sure you don't fall asleep.
Our fellowship is kind of deteriorating, so it kind of
What are you trying to say about me?
No, not our fellowship. The our company is sort of starting to fall apart. So maybe it makes sense that I couldn't read anything and couldn't form sentences. It's just us mimicking the book again. I don't know.
Yeah, it is for sure. So no, well done, my friend. Honestly, I think to me this has just never been an interest. I know you said this. It's funny to me actually that I would hear you say early on in some of this book, like, Ez, like, what even happened in this chapter? Right. And I literally sat down at one point before we started this. I was like, Lane, what happens in this chapter? Just tell it to me. I think, and so I'm it's just
some chapters hit you hard. Other ones you're like,
Yeah.
okay, whatever.
Right.
And it's funny too because I was thinking about that.
well, what did you go? Sorry not to interrupt, but like
Yeah.
that calm. You mentioned that tension. That remember when
Yeah.
we first started this chapter,
Yeah.
and that this is one of those devices that Tolkien uses. You look at the overarching structure
Yeah.
of how he lays out the chapters, and we're building towards something.
Yeah, some of
here,
that
so.
tension, that paranoia, always leads to that climax. And but I was thinking about that too. It's funny, like I was thinking about some of the earlier chapters in the Fellowship, and how I really want to. I don't know. I'm almost thinking about going back and just doing a brief like overview of the entire book.
Yeah, read it straight, don't stop.
Yeah, because there's stuff that I didn't appreciate in the time. I'm thinking about the chapter 3 as company, where I was like, whatever. The elves were kind of bizarre, but now I've warmed up to the elves again, and I wanna go back and look at it through. That's the cool thing about these books. You could go back forever and find new things and find a deeper appreciation, and so it's cool.
Yeah, it is. All right. So hopefully you guys have some thoughts. We'll look into the group there and hear your thoughts on this week's chapter.
Yeah. Help us paddle, guys.
Yeah, really. It would be nice to kind of get some cool connections from you guys.
Absolutely.
So,
absolutely.
all right.
We got some Bywater Post.
We do.
Still snowed under as?
We are. And so we're actually going to catch up with a couple. We've got about 3 that we want to kind of get to today. Cool. And these are neat. So I've got these backlogged, and we're going to move through them. Excuse me. Wow. Alexandra Holland.
Gollum have you by the throat there?
Yeah, did. This whole time that you were leading us through the chapter, I've been getting strangled over here. Like, just carry on.
That's funny.
So, first of all, thank you so much for creating this amazing podcast. It was an unexpected find, and it quickly became one of my favorite podcasts. I found out about the stories. I found out about the stories through The Hobbit when I was a couple years younger, 8-ish maybe. My parents read bedtime stories. I was looking for a good book, and I found The Hobbit on my shelf. I listened to the first few chapters, and I was hooked. I read the rest of the book. Then I started the Lord of the Rings. It was too hard, so I came back about a year later. I fell in love with the stories again and plan to read the Silmarillion. If you do a read-through of that, I would definitely want to read along with you.
Cool.
Yeah. Since summer vacation started, I have been listening a lot more. However, middle school math homework was made much better because of your podcast. Wow, that's cool.
That's a compliment.
That's great.
I hated middle school math too.
Oh, yeah. I hate math in general. So.
Anyway,
Just not very good at it. I'm about to listen to the episode on Strider. Sorry for the long email, and thank you again.
Alexandra, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Really happy to hear from you. So hopefully, math is not,
Made better by Tolkien.
Yeah.
I think you'd like that compliment.
That's something, isn't it?
That's really cool. I love that idea that, being introduced to Middle Earth through those bedtime stories. Perfect.
Yeah, me too. That's actually really neat.
Beautiful.
And we definitely will be doing a read-through of the Silmarillion, and you can join us.
That's right.
When we do. Looking forward to that.
All right, our next one is from Erin Segura. She said, feel free to edit for time. We're not going to do that. That's not in our
it's not our nature.
Repertoire. So let's just jump right in, shall we? And Erin's very active on the Facebook group. Posts all the time.
Absolutely.
2001, first semester of college, home for winter break. Some friends invite me to go with them to the midnight premiere of The Fellowship of the Ring. I don't remember seeing any trailers for the film prior to going to the theater, so I really had no idea what I was going to see. I do remember my friends talking about a Frodo? I'm done, guys. I'll see you later. About a Frodo Baggins and a ring. Now, the only Baggins I had ever heard of with a ring was Bilbo. How many Bagginses with rings could there be anyway? Great question.
Yeah.
Back when I was a kid, I remembered watching a cartoon about a hobbit named Bilbo who found a ring and talked to a dragon named Smaug.
Yeah.
The movie also had this really scary character called Gollum. With that knowledge, I walked into the theater. Did you hear what I just said? Into the theater.
Right.
Into the theater, thinking I was going to watch a live action version of The Hobbit. I walked out of the theater in awe and with so many questions. Oh my gosh, that might be the most interesting
That is interesting.
introduction I've heard yet. Fortunately, I worked at Blockbuster the following summer with some Tolkien fans, and on slow nights, we'd pop in the tapes and have the movie playing on the TVs in store, and I was able to get a lot of my questions answered. Before starting my second fall semester, I picked up the paperback copy of The Fellowship of the Ring, the one with Elijah Wood's picture on it. How dreamy is he? And read through it to prepare for The Two Towers. I read each book after seeing the films, all midnight premiere showings, to have a good visual in my head whilst reading. I haven't read them since. I bought a hard copy set of the trilogy a couple years back in the hopes of doing a reread, and while searching iTunes looking for a podcast about Tolkien that wasn't 5 years old or older, I found an unexpected podcast. I want to thank Ezra and Lane for encouraging me to pick up the books again and allowing this stranger into their fellowship. I'm having a blast. Fellow upper, Aaron Segura. P.S. It's so refreshing to see two people who clearly dislike one another come together over a common interest. Man, she really saw right through us there.
She did.
It's kind of like an elf and a dwarf here.
Yeah. Who's who?
I mean, I'm obviously the dwarf.
Okay, cool.
I don't know. PPS. PP. The podcasts are never too long, nor are they short. They're precisely as long as they need to be. Frodo lives. Wow, I love that. Aaron, that is so cool. What a cool way to come into the story, to have your mind blown in a theater, and then to have that opportunity to work at Blockbuster with some other ringers, or hopefully now they're uppers, and be able to talk about the stories, watch the movie on slow nights. That sounds like a dream job.
Yeah, I mean, some people... I've always thought, again, it's very interesting to get these stories and see those who had seen the film first, or in this case, like the stories with Bilbo and going into it thinking that's what's going to be.
Yeah, and just having your mind blown.
What?
There are other Bagginses?
What is going on
How many
here?
rings are there?
Bilbo's old and what's happening here?
Yeah.
That's actually pretty neat. I never, because I actually remember watching the cartoon. That's been up in the group quite a bit, and I do remember watching it.
Yeah.
My grandma got it for us. So,
really?
Yeah, so... I feel like I just had a deja vu moment, like I've said that before. Someone will go back and be like, yeah, it was minute this, and as you've said that actually 5 times. So it's not just deja vu, you're just losing your mind.
It's 1:20 right now.
It is.
Holy
I know.
Cow,
I know. We're getting this great.
We got one more?
We do, yeah. Shelby Bradley actually sent us in her story here. So, hey guys, I recently found your podcast. Thanks to the awesome ladies over at Swish and Flick. I am only on episode 6, so I'm not sure if you are still sharing personal Tolkien stories. Yes, we are.
Always.
Isn't that fantastic? But I wanted to share mine with y'all just in case. And y'all is used twice, and I love it.
I like hearing you say y'all.
Y'all.
I mean, that's your roots, bro.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
It is. Yeah. Thanks. I am the youngest of 3 kids, and growing up with my brother, who is 10 years older than me, and was an avid reader. We were all, we all were as we were much.
Why can't we read tonight?
I think it's because it's almost 2 in the morning.
Why can't we read?
Much influenced by my mom, who would read to us each night before bed stories from books such as Little House on the Prairie or Boxcar Children. And actually, my sister read Boxcar Children all the time. I remember that. Actually,
really good books.
I had to sit on the bed and listen. Yeah, I got to pick a book. She got to pick a book. Yeah,
that's pretty good.
Yep. My brother loved all things fantasy and was a huge Tolkien fan, among other high fantasy authors like Robert Jordan and R.A. Salvatore. Robert
Wheel
Jordan.
of Time?
I was just talking about that a couple weeks ago.
Explained it to me. Yes, you did. Got to get into that.
The Dragon Reborn. Let's see. I was in 3rd grade when the first movie came out. You were in 3rd grade when the first movie came out?
Jeez.
Okay. All right. I was 9 and my brother was 19. He promised to take me to the midnight showing of the film only if I finished reading Fellowship before it premiered. Wow.
I like that.
Way to go, older brother.
That's awesome.
He gave me his used, beat up, and deeply treasured copy of Fellowship to read, and I devoured it. It was an uphill journey the whole time reading it as a 3rd grader.
Yeah, it would be. That'd be
I
hard.
bet. Yeah. I couldn't even read the Hobbit one. That was, yeah.
I still can't read it.
I'm struggling reading this
Braille.
this Tolkien story. However, I not only blazed through The Fellowship, but also finished the entire trilogy before the film came out in
Holy
December
cow.
2001.
Wow.
Nicely done. Yeah.
Beautiful.
I will never forget the feeling of awe while sitting in the ratty chair at our local movie theater after the closing scene of the movie. Okay.
Yeah.
As a 9-year-old, I felt that Elijah Wood, Ian McKellen, and Viggo Mortensen, I really can't read, McKellen, had given life and color to my own dreams and fantasies.
Yeah.
My sister, who had not read the books, was irritated because she did not understand that the story is a series and felt shortchanged by the ending of the film.
I'm glad I wasn't the only one.
Yeah.
I was one of many kids who was like, is that the end?
Yeah, what? There's more?
What? It's one part.
Yeah. So she goes on to say, I will never forget the feeling of pride and satisfaction I felt as my cooler, smarter, older brother gave me a fist bump when I turned to her very smugly and said, "It's a trilogy, sis. Go to the library." All right.
That's awesome.
Now, as a junior high, as junior high history and English teacher, I have that same used and beat up copy of Fellowship in my classroom on my community shelf. Wow. I've had a few kids tackle it in the last few years, and it will never get old asking them questions about their first trip to Middle Earth. Thanks for doing the podcast. It's a pleasure to read along with you guys. Sincerely, Shelby Bradley.
Not only cool how Shelby came into the world of Tolkien, but how she's passing it on
Yeah,
to students.
absolutely.
And how she's working it into, keeping that, not just, being familiar with the movies and loving the movies, but getting her own books that she read from into the hands of the future. That's really, really cool.
Yeah,
That's
it is
beautiful.
One of the best things I think you can do is to someone who hasn't listened or a youngster perhaps who this book's just been on the shelf and what? Is something wrong with what I said? Are you getting slap happy? What's
No,
going on?
I am. I'm sorry. Yes.
You're fine.
I just ruined a moment. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you did, because I was talking about the youngsters out there. Is that what got you?
No, I'm fine. Go ahead.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
cool.
Edit that out. Take that out.
No, I'm not taking anything
Okay.
out. All right. But I think when you retell a story, because oftentimes we've been sitting outside and we're talking about the histories. And if it's something one of us hasn't read, but you tell it passionately,
Love it.
and you try to retell it in your own words, I think there's your hook. There's how you kind of can get people.
It's like listening to Bilbo, isn't it?
It is.
In a way.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely it is.
Telling those stories, and you're like, whoa, look at this adventure that I could go on. And so I've done that with a few of my students, and they're just sort of like, what is this awesomeness you're speaking of? Like, what story is this that you're talking about?
You're also
And,
really good at doing it too. I mean, you could tell me a story about how you got the mail the other day, and I'll just sit and I'll be like, wow, he's a really good storyteller.
Yeah.
Really good.
So, yeah. Why wasn't the man wearing pants?
What is wrong with us right now?
Right.
Is this what Boromir felt like?
Yeah, probably.
Is this what he felt like?
Probably. Yeah,
Losing
losing his
my
mind.
nails and losing my mind.
So
Beautiful, guys. Keep sending those in. You said it's still snowed under, isn't it?
it is actually, and it's fantastic. We
awesome.
We were to get through 3 of them this week just because of length and stuff. But we got a couple really long ones coming up in the next couple of weeks, and good, right? It's fantastic. I love Bywater Post, and so we're snowed under for sure. Good. So
I like it. Snow in the summer.
You all right over there, Popeye?
I have some strawberries with cream here. So we passed. Actually, your response that you typed in here kind of made me. That's what made me giggle. I don't know if you can read that on the podcast, but we passed by the Argonath, an immortalization of 2 kings of men, remembered for all time, as if you had to choose a way to be represented for all the ages to come. How would it be?
Wow.
I'm thinking physical representation here. There's lots of ways. Go to Washington D.C. and you see all these, living. I don't know,
statues and things like that. Monuments.
Right.
Okay. Wow.
I want specifics too.
Specific. Do you want me to read that? You don't want to read that?
No.
Dude.
That's
okay.
You typed that, and I don't know why you would type that.
Sorry about that. Okay. No. Okay. Ways in which I would be
represented?
Remembered for all time.
Yeah.
I think just give me a small little corner of a book. Just put me in somewhere on a page.
Oh, okay.
You know,
So a literary acknowledgement.
That's physical, right?
I think you're going to get more than that.
Something we can kind of.
Yeah.
No, I just think it'd be nice. You know, jot me in there somewhere. Put my name down. Ezra Kirk dash what?
Was here.
Fill in the blank. Okay, maybe not. Let's not leave it that open ended. People are.
What if they named like the back cover after you?
Cool.
What if they named a pillar in a famous library for you? What if they named a library for you?
That'd be crazy.
The
I don't know
Urza
why
Crick Library
I don't know why anyone would do that.
for readers. I would.
Be cool. Yeah. What about you?
I would want to have a revolving door erected in the busiest building in the world and a sign above that says Lane Smith. Below lies his mind.
Whoa! Shut your mouth.
I think that'd probably be the best representation of me.
Knock it off.
Just a busy revolving door.
How do you come up with that at 2:00 in the morning?
I just demonstrated exactly how. This entire episode. I feel so bad that I couldn't read today. My thoughts were,
you kidding?
The funny thing is I came in, I'm like, okay, I have all these points I want to say. I'm so focused. And it just went out the window.
Dude, it was amazing. It was amazing.
No, it's okay. But the river rages on, whether we, streams of time. I don't know.
Wait a second. This revolving door, right?
Yeah.
It's below lies the mind of a representation of the mind of Lane Smith.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's a revolving door.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you guys want to hear something? Here's a little tidbit. Okay, so we have time, right?
Oh, we're good.
Okay,
We're actually surprisingly good on time because I kind of just let the river take me. I just was a bunch of luggage and I just sat and watched, kept the eyes.
The river keeps on running. No songs this chapter, which is kind of sad. People want us to sing more. Anyway, I was up, so I have a hard time falling asleep. This is almost like an appendices episode. I have a hard time falling asleep.
Yeah.
Right? Because my mind a lot of times just won't shut off.
Right.
So I'm thankful for those readings. That'll help me. I'm actually trying to figure out what to do. Like if I need to start taking melatonin, or I don't know if I need some herbal.
Melatonin's not. It's good for you.
Yeah.
It'll do the trick.
I've always wanted to do it naturally, and I just can't do it naturally. So last night I was telling Ez, I was like, dude, I went to bed at like 2. You came in today, and I was napping.
Weirdest thing I've ever seen in my life.
And like legit napping. But it was this weird in and out of shadows from the past and memories of time unknown and all this weird stuff. It was not a restful sleep. Anyway, last night I didn't get to bed until like 2:30 or 3. So that's also probably why I'm a little flaky right now.
Yep.
I was on the steps in our kitchen that are like, it's like the back steps upstairs.
Yeah.
Just sitting there. I was laying in bed and I was so restless I had to come downstairs. I think I maybe ate something. I don't know. But I'm sitting on the steps and I'm going, just go to sleep, Lane. Just disconnect. Let it go. Go to sleep. Just go to sleep. I was telling myself to go to sleep.
Jiminy.
How messed up is that?
Well, yeah.
Just because my mind won't stop. Doesn't stop. Never stops. So if you got a trick out there, send it my way, please. Let me know how you... I've tried counting sheep.
How about black swans?
I try to stay away from them. Hunting eagles? No, thank you.
I'm just saying.
No, thank you.
Do you ever just envision Gollum's eyes, just like?
Yeah, that would put me right to sleep.
Right, just at the edge of your bed, just looking up.
Sure.
Over
Yeah, I love looking at demons. That's cool.
All right. Well, thought I'd ask.
How about sharing the load? What do we got out there?
Okay.
We got some stuff on Patreon that's nice and fun. We just finished Chapter 3, finally, of the Travel Pod, guys, so that's out there. It's completed. It will be coming to you soon in the land of Mordor.
Yep, absolutely.
So that was a lot of fun to record.
That actually, so if you've listened to the Travel Pod before and you're like, okay, no, you haven't heard the Travel Pod.
We have a new format, guys.
It's
we kind of talked we talked about it on that episode, so you won't hear it unless you listen to the episode. But the first couple was very formatted and regimented. And I was like, you know what? I was like, we need to make this more fun, and we need to make it feel more like how you would tell about a trip.
Yeah.
So we sat in front of the TV, and I threw the companion album of pictures up on the TV.
Yeah.
We had one mic, and we just sat back and relaxed, and I just sort of went through the pictures and told stories based on the pictures. And it was so much more fun.
So much fun.
And
the
hopefully
key
it sounds like it's fun too.
Yeah, the key there is, I listened to it. It's fantastic.
Okay.
I pat myself on the back there. The one mic thing, though.
Because Ezra would just make this come hither motion, and I'd sometimes I'd give him the mic right away, and sometimes I'd wait.
It probably sounded like we had one mic between us this episode too, because this was just a bunch of luggage leaning back, like put my feet up.
Luggage with eyes.
Luggage, yeah.
Or thighs.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Is that okay? That's okay, right?
Yeah.
But no, it was actually very interesting because I would have to like motion for the mic, like, all right, come here, pass it over here, come here. But we had fun doing that, so we're gonna keep that format moving forward. And we've got a Hobbit's Guide Home on there. Our next
Another one coming up.
Yeah, coming up at the end of this month, right at the very beginning of September, possibly just at the end of August. Hopefully, we can get up on the 31st. And so that's some cool stuff going on there. So, anything else that's going on? No. I mean,
drinking game's going to be up soon, right?
Yeah. Oh, I did want to mention on. That's going to be up as well, and the option for a. I think you put it in here at the end.
Discord, yeah.
Discord, sort of that live, listening to the episode, and possibly a Gabbin with Goldberry.
Yeah.
Now, I mentioned that before we've actually talked to Goldberry about it, but
she'll be good with it.
We just gabbed with her for a good 6 hours before we started this.
She brings a whole another dimension to conversation. She's so much fun to talk to, and I want people to start hearing her voice because she has so many cool things to say.
Yeah,
but
she's fun to talk to. Let me tell you how fun she. I mean, I was like 5 times. Lane got like offended today because I was like.
I mean, we'd be in the room and I'd be like, "Hey, dude," I'd start a conversation with him. And he'd just be like, "Hey, yeah," and turn towards Sarah and just start talking. I was like, "Am I here even?"
So she's standing next to you, right? And then like we're all talking, right? And then as she moves away, I just follow her and like walk out of the room and like keep talking.
All right, cool.
We thought it'd be kind of cool to do like a Gabbin with Goldberry.
It was like a pre-show kind of thing. Almost.
Yeah, like a pre-show, and then and then we can, because we never really, like, for example, I think tonight we wanted to start at like 8 o'clock. We didn't start till 11, almost midnight, so it happens. But it's Friday night, so sometimes it's a fun time if you're out there, if you're like us and you're just digging into your book and
staying
you're
at home,
having a good time.
Yeah. Or even on your phone, right? You can listen on your phone. So if you're out at the bar,
absolutely. If you're out at the bar, you're on the dance floor and you want to put this in your ear and, gab away, go for it. So we'll get that started here, I think, in September. Got to look into the technical side of it, but just something fun I thought I'd throw out. So on Patreon. So that is go to www 4 W's or 5, whatever you want. Patreon.com/uptalking Tolkien. Wow. Have we ever podcasted this late into the night on the main show?
I don't know.
No, I will go ahead and say we have not.
I don't think so.
Never.
We also got that request for us to do the Ballad of Bilbo Baggins. We are going to do that. We were thinking about doing it tonight, but honestly, I don't know if we'll make it happen, but we'll do that in the future, karaoke style, so you guys will get to enjoy that, so don't worry about that.
You sure we're not going to do it?
We might do it.
We'll see.
Time for some weekly well wishes, formerly fortnight farewells. Can't believe it's that time already, guys. We want to thank you for stepping off the road or into the river with us, or into the boat. Our next episode will be digging deep into Chapter 10 of Book 2. And sadly, our last part of this favorite book of mine, The Breaking of the Fellowship.
Wait, did you say your favorite part of this book?
I meant my favorite book of the trilogy. Dude, you know what?
What are you saying?
Kick me out.
Well, here's my...
Find someone else to do this with. Someone better. Someone better.
Never. There's no way. There is no.
Breaking of the Fellowship, man.
No.
Our lives have to mirror the books.
Stop it.
Like Galadriel's.
No. Do you think, though, during the Breaking of the Fellowship that we'll just, the episode will just never end? It's 4 hours. Can't it? Nope. We just got to,
What if we had a huge falling out during it? Yo! Bleep! You suck!
Get out!
Give me the ring! Where is it?
All of a sudden you hear the mics just stuff's going on.
We should should we? Well, now they know. I was going to say we could contrive that.
Contrive it? We don't contrive anything.
Yeah, I know, we're all organic.
It's very organic. Jeez. So... All right, guys.
All natural.
Yeah. So thanks again. If you like our podcast, don't forget to subscribe, like us, write a review, leave us a comment, or send us a shadow fax.
We'll see you in a Hobbit fortnight, and remember, Frodo lives. Do we want to do this for real?
You want to try it?
Might as well. Let's just freaking...
I don't even know what all the lyrics are here. I don't have them all.
Let's just get it out. That's what she said.
Just lead me through the song.
Yeah, you know what time it is. It's time to get down with the shortest creature around. In the middle of the earth, in the land of Shire, lives a brave little hobbit whom we all admire. With his long wooden pipe, fuzzy woolly toes, lives in a hobbit hole and everybody knows him. Bilbo,
Bilbo.
Bilbo Baggins, he's only 3 feet tall. Bilbo,
Bilbo.
Bilbo Baggins, the bravest little hobbit of them all. Yeah, come on. Word up. Little hobbits are peace-loving folks, you know. They're never in a hurry and they take things slow. They don't like to travel away from home. They just like to eat and be left alone. But one day Bilbo's asked to go on a big adventure to the caves below to help some dwarves get back their gold that was stolen by a dragon in the days of old. It's Bilbo,
Bilbo.
Bilbo Baggins. He's only 3 feet tall. He's Bilbo,
Bilbo.
Bilbo Baggins, bravest little hobbit of them all. Well, he fought with the goblins and he battled a troll. Battled a troll. He riddled with Gollum.
Something he stole.
Karaoke. By wolves, lost in the forest, escaped in a barrel from the Elf King's halls. Bilbo,
Bilbo.
Bilbo, hobbit of them all.
Yeah.
That key change was rough.
Yeah.
Take it easy on us with those Spock ears.
Come on.
Come on. One more time we go to the little Bilbo and his little tiny hole. Now he's back in his hole in the Lancashire, brave little hobbit whom we all admire. Just a sitting on a treasure of silver and gold, puffing on his pipe in his hobbit hole. Bilbo,
Bilbo.
Bilbo Baggins, he's only 3 feet tall. He's Bilbo,
Bilbo.
Bilbo Baggins, bravest little hobbit of them all. Bilbo, Bilbo Baggins, cannot believe we just did that.
Should we try it again? It's way hard.
Here,
It's All right.
let's do it. Okay. This is a song for all you halflings out there. You don't know the half of it. Get some hair on those feet, boys. Come on.
Middle of the earth in the land of the Shire lives a brave little hobbit whom we all admire. Long wooden pipe, fuzzy woolly toes, lives in a hobbit and everybody knows him. Bilbo, Bilbo Baggins, he's only 3 feet tall. Something, yeah. Bilbo, Bilbo Baggins, bravest little hobbit of them all. The hobbits are they're never in a hurry and they take things slow. Don't like to travel away from home. What is going on with the key changes? As we go on a big adventure to the caves below to help some dwarves get back their gold that was stolen by an old man named Small. Bilbo. He's the only hobbit that I know that's 3 feet tall. Bilbo, Bilbo Baggins, bravest little hobbit of them all. He fought with the goblins. Yeah. He battled them trolls. He riddled with the Gollum. And a magic ring is what he stole. He was chased by the wolves, lost in the forest, escaped in a barrel from the Elf King's halls. I don't even know what we're... Bravest little hobbit of them all. I feel like I'm shouting. This music's so loud. What's happening right now? Okay. Now he's back in his hole in the land of the Shire. That brave little hobbit. A puffin on his pipe in his hobbit. Oh, Bilbo Baggins. He's only 3 feet tall. Bilbo Baggins. That's the one.
There's a delay.